Hello, 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 hello. Oh, I had an open window there. I know everybody love to have it when my stream starts out with double music. Um, man, I just so it's funny because this episode, uh, I was really digging it. I was like digging it for the first 90% of it. I love the new slow pace of it all. Like I love like going and actually having moments with characters and having character development. I thought last week's episode was just absolute perfection. Probably the best episode was, so far. This episode, it was going really well. And then I just don't know how I feel about Rhaenyra meeting Alicent. I mean, I knew they would do it. I knew they had to do it because they'd made the show about Rhaenyra and Alicent, and the source material is has them doing nothing, and you have to have the characters meet. But I kind of felt like they were gonna do it near the end of the season, not episode 3. Um, like Rhaenyra, wearing a cloak and like going in and meeting Alicent is absolutely nonsensical. Like it's outrageously dumb. Um, I, I mean, but you do need the characters to interact. But did they need to interact this early and over something kind of just weird? And then they made it about the fucking Ice and Fire, the A Song of Ice and Fire, which it was a mess up last season that Alicent is sitting there not knowing what Viserys is talking about when episode 3 happens. Like episode 3, she's at the fire and Viserys confesses to her that he's been seeing visions and prophecies about having a son. And the fact that like the character just forgets that and then goes on to have the end of this last season. So they're continuing on with the retcon that Alicent didn't know about A Song of Ice and Fire when Viserys tells her about the Song of Ice and Fire in episode 3. But fine, they retcon that for episode for episode 8, and they're continuing with that. So the confusion can misunderstandings can continue. I thought it was a really great episode up until kind of the ending. It's just kind of weird. I don't know. Let's see what other people think here. This is uh, uh man, oh man, wear a sept in disguise. It is really ridiculous that, I mean, this is the same episode where Aegon wants to go out and fly a dragon into battle, and everyone's like, no, 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 man, that's too risky. That's too risky. Rhaenyra wants to take a ship to King's Landing, sneak in, um, wearing a septa costume, and then go to the Grand Sept, where, first of all, it's a ridiculous premise that like Alicent would go to the Sept by herself and be completely left alone and let anyone like walk up to her. But just the crazy idea that just, man, King's Landing is just so easy to sneak into. Um, so I don't know. They really know how to. Trey is like womp womp womp. Trey, man, Ryan Condal and the whole crew, they really know how to ruin their episodes. They really know how to build them up, do so much work on building really great episodes, and then just ruining everything at the fucking end with like outrageousness. But there was a lot I was digging about it. I was digging. Hello, hello, hello.
Hey.
Let me get you a window here. You're what's been going on?
Oh, nothing much. Nothing much. Just been working on video. I recorded earlier today, so my next
Oh,
video is
really?
getting recorded. Yeah, 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 yeah. So yeah.
For you're saying actually for the Explainer channel
Yeah, for the big channel, the long video I've been working on.
for Explainer the Tray.
Yes,
Um,
yeah, yes.
I was thinking we should rename all of our channels like reversed. Like I would be Jacob Preston, and then just like flip it. Carmine would be Review Team Red, and then
That
you'd be
actually works pretty well.
Explainer the Tray. See if anybody noticed all of our switch. So what are you thinking? What are you thinking of this episode?
Oh boy. They're kind of back at their old tricks again with last season
Right?
with
Weren't
the
you? Was it the same? Like, weren't you like really into it? Like, I was like really, I was really grooving, and then you get to the end, and I'm like, oh no.
when they were like, oh, I want to see Alicent. I know where she's gonna be, and you're like, oh no. And I was
Like the
hoping,
minute she said that, I was like, oh, you're going to the Sept, aren't you?
yeah.
Oh,
And I was hoping it was like gonna be like a misdirect, like they'd be like, no, that's like too stupid. We're not doing that. Like that's not gonna do anything. But then they actually do it, and then it felt like almost like comedic, but like not intentionally comedic, where they're like, let's have her dress up like a septa, like a nun, and she sneaks up on her and is like, what are you doing here? Like it's so silly. I don't know, it's so
I
silly
mean,
that it's ridiculous.
Does Allison go to the Sept every day at the same time? I'm just saying,
She's got she's
you
got
know,
her
so
routine.
security people will tell you anytime like you get a security briefing, they say like try not to have routines. Like if you're in a dangerous place, try not to have routines where you do the same thing at the same time. Like vary your routes to work. Don't go to work at the same time. That way, like people can't. Like Allison? She's just an idiot. Like every day, like clockwork, she goes to the Sept at like 6:45, and she knew, or was like Rhaenyra like waiting there in the Sept for like 5 days. Like she's just like, fuck, when's Allison getting here? Or like she was like so undercover, she was like pretending to be a septa for like 5 days. Or
They make it look like she arrived like just in time. Like they knew like to the like Alicent knows it like to the exact like hour. Like she like because like they have her show up in the city same day, and then she sees them walking to the Sept. So like I guess the idea is Alicent goes to the Sept every single day at the same time, like clockwork. Um. Oh
and
yeah,
has
yeah.
forever, because keep in mind, like the last time Alicent and Rhaenyra have been in the same location was like years and years ago. So she's just
Mm.
assuming that she like keeps the same sept routine, um, that whole time. Oh man,
I feel
man,
like they also like they blew their load too quickly, so to
right? This
speak.
should be
Like
like
where
episode 7, right? Like the
yeah, and
ridiculous.
they see each other later is the thing is like they that's why I was like, oh, won't it be exciting? Like the war has gone on already, and they're gonna finally see each other, and all like that bitterness is gonna be there, but it's too
Like built
early.
up,
I don't
built
know.
up, built up, right?
Yeah,
They got to have Rhaenyra and Allison have something to do or something. But yeah, I just thought it was too
yeah.
early. Like why? Like why blow it so early? Like just build it up, build up. And also, there is something about like ridiculousness. Like we allow ridiculousness at the end, like at the climax of a movie, but we don't like it
Mm.
like in the beginning. I was thinking about Indiana Jones and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and like nuking the fridge thing. And the nuking the fridge thing seems really ridiculous because it kind of happens at the beginning of the movie. But if that were the climax of the movie, I think we might have been okay with it. Like,
Yeah.
having that be the final thing. Like, oh my God, you nuked the fridge at the end. And then Indiana Jones comes out and there's the mushroom cloud. And that's the climax of the movie. Um, so yeah, I think like a ridiculousness where you build up to this ridiculous scene. Man.
Well, why I said womp womp wah, it's like Alicent learning of the like because you just feel like womp womp
Womp
wah, which is like,
womp
wait,
womp. I'll
the
get to super chess
conqueror?
in a bit. I'm just gonna the
The rest of the episode's pretty good. I don't know. I
yeah.
enjoyed the rest. Yeah,
I
except for
what
maybe like Damon walking around in the dark, by himself, like when he
There was a
shows up
lot of
at
time of like Damon walking around in the dark by himself.
yeah.
I don't know what that was all about, but
No, me
like
neither.
him entering, and I guess they needed to build up to the surprise of him being like at the like entering the room and everybody being like, "Hey, we totally submit to you." Um, and they got young Rhaenyra back for a scene for his little hallucination.
Oh yeah, his green dream.
Yeah. Um,
I was trying to think like lore stuff that happened interesting. Well, they had Aegon wear the full Valerian steel
oh
armor
yeah, he
set.
had the Euron. He
The
had
Euron.
Euron's armor.
That's where he
on,
got it from. Because it's
which,
Aegon the Conqueror's armor apparently. So Euron stole the armor.
I
That's
mean,
the
it makes
twist.
sense that Aegon the like of all people that would have a Valyrian steel suit, it would be like Aegon,
Mm.
because you know they're at least the closest to leaving Valyria, and at some point they lose that suit. But yeah, I the episodes are making me like Aegon a lot more. Even though
Mm.
Obviously Aegon's a horrible person. Okay, I'm not forgetting the fact that Aegon is a rapist. But like, why is it that like every episode, like I feel more connected to Aegon? Like it must be just the actor is very good,
He's
and
killing it. He's killing it.
maybe
He's
I
just so
just
fun.
he's fun and he's pathetic, and so you like feel sympathy for him in a Viserys sort of way, like a Harry Lloyd Viserys sort of way, where you're like, oh man, um, like that look of insecurity, and I do think that deadpan scene where he's like, where he's like, guys, you have a vow of chastity now, and they're all like, oh, whoa. And I was like, oh man, is he serious about that? No, he wasn't serious.
It's like him and his friends, like his goofy Cockney friends are like really fun together. So that's yeah, you're right.
What a crew of bros, man. It's like Entourage, except I like the characters. Um, it's like Entourage, except they have charisma. Um, I'm so the scenes are really well directed and really well acted, but sometimes, and I'm thinking about last week too. Um, like why certain symbolism is shoved in there. Like so, you're from your Trey. Obviously, you know about the Peata, right? Like Mary with holding Jesus,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and for those that don't know what I'm talking about, last episode, and they revisited it here, um, but Michelangelo uh, has a very famous sculpture at the Vatican
Mm. I've
called
seen it.
the Pietà, and it's this is Jesus off of the cross, like being held by Mary, and it's very significant because Mary is oversized and Jesus is small and everything. And so last episode we had Aemond in this pose with his sex worker, and you're like, okay, I got the reference. I don't understand what parallel you're possibly making. I mean, in what way is Aemond like Jesus? Like, in what way? Like, in any way is Aemond like Jesus? Like, is he sinless? Is he dying for the sins of man? Is he getting killed unjustly?
It's
Um,
that he has mommy issues. That's what it is. I guess that's what it
did
is.
did Jesus have? I mean, did Jesus have mommy
No,
issues?
I don't think so. I don't think it came up.
Like it's just one of those things where I'm just like, wow. Like it was interesting visually. Don't get me wrong, but
It's like
how
I
or
I have a funny story kind of about this where do you know Evangelion, like Neon Genesis, like the anime?
not well. No, so explain
Oh,
it.
okay. They basically like anyways, they have a whole bunch of Christian symbolism in the anime, And
Uh-huh.
when asked about like what does the Christian symbolism mean, like the Japanese guys who like made it were like, yeah, I didn't really know what that meant. I just thought it looked cool. Like maybe that's it. Maybe it's just like it looked kind of cool, and I don't really know the religious significance of it, but it looks cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're absolutely right. But it's also like, I mean, I make this comment that George also does it. There's
Hmm.
a scene in A Dance with Dragons. I bring it up all the time where Penny like looks up and she's pale and she's got red eyes from crying, and you're like, okay, that's a werewood reference. What does Penny have to do with a werewood? Like, I explain like how Penny is like a werewood in any way.
She's Blood Raven's agent. Like
Yeah,
oh, I think of
maybe.
like the chess pieces, like the chess pieces getting the white chess pieces getting like blood inside them, so they turn into like
Right.
werewood. And it's
Yeah.
like, what does that mean, if anything?
It's like clearly you're making the reference of like blood getting soaked up by the werewood at the end. Like I'm getting it. And what does it mean? Like is one of the sides at the Battle of Fire like connected to the werewood? Because the sides are the Yunkish, who don't seem like they're werewood, and like Danny's side, which would be more like dragons and fire. So how is that? You know, like what's the? You're right. It's just like it looked cool. Um,
Yeah.
Penny Penny is a werewood, of course. Yes, I'm not getting it. I'm moving around my mic. I'm scared it's gonna be like all messed up, but it's like my air conditioner is going on because fucking all the time, and it's uh, but at the same time, like if I get it too close, I'll screw up and everything will sound weird, and uh, but I don't want it picking up the air conditioner. Um, did you like the twin battle last week? I thought last week's, in my opinion, last week's episode was the best episode of House of the Dragon so far. I thought it was an incredible episode. I thought the twin battle was wonderfully visceral, and considering we barely know those schmucks, it was incredibly emotional and like just really well acted. And I was just like, I was gutted by it. Like, I knew it
Yeah.
was coming, obviously, from the source material, and I was like, who gives a fuck if Eric and Arik are fighting? But um, they did a pretty good job. I really liked it, and I also liked last week's episode because George just kind of makes a bunch of jumps in the source material, like Massaria being Rhaenyra's Master of Whisperers. Like, why would Massaria be her Master of Whisperers? That's never explained. But like Ryan Condal and company, like are trying to actually create a narrative where these plot points make sense, and I do appreciate that. You know, like, oh, Massaria clued her in to Arik coming up. Okay, now these things all start making sense. You're like, oh, okay, okay, okay. You know, so I do like it when Ryan Condal like tries to close plot holes. Like they did it somewhat in season one with like, why does Lena have Vagar? Like like huge plot hole in the source material. Ryan Condal like fills it.
Oh, one of like the best changes I thought was last season was Damon and Viserys's like argument, like the final argument that like broke them apart, where there's like in the source material it's like this one thing is what does it, but in the script they're like, no, that it was like years and years of pimped up stuff, and it's like, yes, that's
Yeah,
good, that's good, I like
straw
that.
that broke the camel's back. Why haven't you made me hand? And all this kind of stuff. Like all that makes sense. I absolutely agree. That was that he's almost at his best when they try to like make the story work logically, fixing George's mistakes, but then they add in their own mistakes too. So I don't. So what are you gonna do? Did you like the dream sequence with Damon? Um, yeah, I think it was. I think it was good. It was nice to see young Rhaenyra. Um, uh, I think it was interesting to see Damon feeling guilty over over the death Jaharis and things like that. Um, I think it worked fine. Millie. I can't believe I forgot Millie's name. Millie Alcock. Yeah, Millie Alcock. Um,
Who's that?
young Rhaenyra actress, Millie
Oh,
Alcock. Yeah.
is
So
she
yeah.
related to Moorcock or whatever? What's his name?
Oh,
Elric.
Michael Moorcock. But she doesn't need any more cock. She's got all the cock.
She got
She
all the
doesn't
cock.
need any more. Michael Moorcock is like, no, I don't have enough cock. More cock. Millie Alcock's like, I've got all the cock I need.
He needed more cock in this episode.
Oh my
Aemon.
god, there was a full filleting of a dildo in this one, of a fake, like they went pretty they went, that was the first time I've ever seen that on screen. Like I mean not I mean, that's been not in a porno. Somebody just like filleting.
I was talking about Aemon, where we see his balls in this
Oh yeah.
episode.
Well, no, I mean, I guess that. I thought. I mean, for a nudity scene,
Mhm.
um, I think it worked really well in the sense that it
Yeah,
actually added to the character because he's just
right.
his complete lack of shame of like lack of insecurity where he just turns around and starts walking so confidently out of the whorehouse um after having his sex worker be like passed to somebody else, like it just said so much about him. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe he had a lot of insecurity inside, but he's gonna show that armor on the outside. I thought that was a great scene.
yeah, me
um
too.
so I mean, people say, oh, the gratuitous nudity. That wasn't gratuitous. Like that nudity
Mm.
advanced character development. It was very well done scene. I liked it a lot. You know.
I know my dad or is going to have a problem with that scene because he had a problem with like Oppenheimer, like the nudity in Oppenheimer. He's like,
Oh,
why they
really?
shove that in there? Yeah, and it's
Why?
like, no, that's done for a like thematic reason, like
Yeah.
especially Oppenheimer.
I mean, that's the
Yeah, there's
thing
some
is
people
like
just
there's
really don't
gratuitous
agree.
sex and violence. This was actually like sex that was necessary for character development. You know,
This
him.
wasn't in Game of Thrones with that we see that one guy's like balls and the actor. Do you remember this? There was like that um the play. Remember this? And there's like a
Oh
hard
yeah,
cut
yeah,
to his.
yeah.
It wasn't that. It
Where
wasn't
he's
that.
just
This was
backstage and he's just like talking about his genital wart or something, right? Yeah,
yeah.
and you're like, that actor never appears again. Like the character, like the so like what's the significance of this kid like showing his penis in this scene? Um, it might be like his most famous scene on screen, and it's just like, who knows how far he's gonna go as an actor. But but for the dream sequence, I mean, I like where they're going with Alice Rivers, um, and to have her have an important part in the story is I'm all for it. Um, so we'll see, and we'll see how they transfer her love affair to if she has a love affair with Damon, if she passes it on to Aemond. One of the weird things about the source material, no, people don't talk about this very much, but like Alice Rivers gets pregnant and is like ready to have a kid like way too fast. And she claims she's carrying Aemon's kid, but like timeline wise, it doesn't really work. And I always wonder like if she's actually carrying Damon's kid, but
Mm.
then again, George, doesn't really doesn't really like care about the timeline that much. So it could go either way. Maybe it really is Aemon's kid, but I think it's interesting to think that maybe it's Damon's. Um,
That's cool. And who knows? He might because that she was a loose end left in Fire and Blood Part One.
yeah,
Maybe he'll do it
absolutely.
in two.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
she's not mentioned at all when Damon arrives. she suddenly appears with Aemond, and then yeah, she's just dropped. She's dropped, and it's a loose end. Like good one, good one, George, good one. Um, that
I
lady
like the
just
strong actor again. Talking about
oh,
like the Harrenhal stuff. I like that old guy.
that's
Did
Simon
pretty
Strong
good.
was incredible, man. That guy
Yeah, yeah.
was like, you know, I really appreciate actors who are given like 6 lines and you feel like you know that like their entire history and like personality from the 6 lines. Like actors like that, you're just like, wow, man, your craft, you are incredible. But you know, I was totally digging Simon Strong. Um, Damon didn't want to eat his dinner. The thing is, if they wanted to like really compliment him, I'd just like go over there and like eat a bite of it and then walk back and be like, "You can eat now," you know. Be a taster, be a Boris Blount, man. I can Boris Blount. You don't want to eat? I'll go over, have a bite. You know, it's all good. The lady just Alice Rivers just telling the Damon's fate like that. What did she say? Do you remember anything specific? I just kind of remember the sewing of the head.
she she said so Alice Rivers says to him that you will die here or something like that. I think
Oh,
that's all she says. Yeah, yeah.
oh.
After he turns around from the werewood.
Well, you know, um, jokes on her because Damon's body was never found, motherfuckers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He's on the Isle of Faces.
he's
He
on the
went to the
Isle
Isle
of
of Faces.
Faces, living his best life. He's got his green man girlfriend, living his best life on the Isle of Faces. Yeah, no, his body was never found. Okay. Plus, like, he doesn't die at Harrenhal. He dies like I don't know, plunging into the
Fucking
lake or
midair
something.
or when he hits the water.
Yeah, I mean, come on, doesn't die at Harrenhal.
That's some Macbeth prophecy shit where you're like really like stretching. You're like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, the trees
I
were
mean, it might
actually
also
guys
be
in
that like one of
disguise.
those prophecies that people feel like they need to fulfill.
Mm.
Did you ever hear or see or read the book for something called Flash Forward? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Flash forward. No, no, what's flash
Flash
forward?
Forward. It got one season and then was canceled because it got okay ratings, but the ratings were not good enough to justify its massive, massive budget. It was like an all-star
Okay.
cast, super expensive to make. The plot of it is every single human being on Earth has a blackout for about 3 minutes. And during this blackout, they see themselves 6 months in the future for 3 minutes.
Mm.
And so the protagonist is a recovering alcoholic. And in his 3 minutes, he just remembers being drunk. And his wife, and he's happily married, and his wife like is happily married, but in her 3 minutes, she sees herself having sex with another man. And so like
Oh.
everybody has these like visions of the future, and like the entire planet has these visions of the future. And so like some people want to fulfill their destiny because they see that 3 minutes are really good and they're working towards it. Like one character is at a bar in front of this beautiful Japanese woman, and so he like trying to get to Japan to find this woman. And um but other people like their fate is horrible. Like for instance, the woman doesn't want to have an affair, so she works against like trying to have sex with this
Mm.
man, even though she does eventually meet him and likes him a lot. But you know she works hard and she doesn't have the affair in the end. So, but it's how prophecy is like seen by people with the whatever when the Githyanki are sending you uh, when the Githyanki are sending you like uh, you know
Vision.
manipulation. how are you
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
handle it? Are you going to like try to fulfill it, or are you going to try to prevent it? Like Cersei clearly tries to fulfill it, so,
Hmm.
purposely choosing to have the same number of kids in the Maggie the Frog prophecy when she didn't need to do that. Um, but yeah, so maybe Damon's going to be like that. Like, well, prophecy says I have to die at Harrenhal. Therefore, I'm going to die at Harrenhal.
Okay. Okay.
Misty PJ, how was the move? Hope all is well. Now Alicent
Oh
knows
yeah, yeah,
she. I wasn't moving anywhere. I just
yeah.
um,
You're on
I think some
your
people think
top
because
secret
I'm.
mission.
What's that?
You're on your top secret mission, as
Top secret,
Carmine
yeah,
said. He
top
said
secret
you're
mission. Yeah, no, but
CIA destabilizing
I had to
nations or whatever.
had to destabilize more places that are just the world just gets too stable. I mean, that's the one thing. It's just the world is just so stable right now that I had to go destabilize some stuff. Um, but no, I think Wisdom's thinking that I'm eventually moving to Dominican Republic, but no, this was not. I was not gone for that. But hope all is well. Now Alicent knows she was wrong. We need Rhaenyra wear a cloak remix. Hated it when Tyrion did this in season 7 with Jaime. Yeah, you're right that King's Landing is the most ridiculous place to just sneak into and sneak out of. Like just everyone does it. Everyone.
They can't help themselves. Like they can't keep characters apart. Like I don't know, like they just do it so much. They do it way too much. Like okay, Damon, all right, Damon, I'll believe Damon a little bit,
Because
but
yeah,
it
Damon's a
gets a
loose
little ridiculous.
cannon, man. He would
Yeah.
do something that reckless, but for Rhaenyra to do the same shit the next, like it takes away. Like imagine like if the episode after Damon like flew to the Vale and killed his wife, Rhaenyra also flew to the Vale and snuck around and like met with the Lord of the Vale or something. Like be like, what are you wearing a cloak? Can I do a remix? Like this one will be a hip hop rap. But Alicent knowing she was wrong. See, based on the material, even that Rhaenyra kind of gives her, I wouldn't. She has so many outs where she's like, no, he was talking about Aegon the Conqueror. I'd be like, no, he was talking about. You could still be like, no, he was talking about Aegon. Plus, he had around like he told me about his fucking prophetic dreams and having a boy like in episode 3 of first season. Everyone forgets that. No one wants the whites. No one wants to talk about the fire. And sewing the head on was horrifying. What do you think sewing the head on meant?
I think it was like her cleaning up his mess, like that
Trying to
he's
keep the peace.
guilty.
I see.
Yeah, and that
Putting the toothpaste
she's
back in the
more
tube.
moral.
Yeah.
Put the child's head back on the body. Oh. Yeah. But let me think what else. I thought okay, I like the opening, but I thought the amount of bodies at that battle was a little ridiculous.
There was a lot of bodies.
the
Yeah.
the burning mill, I was like, oh my gosh,
How did
Bracken
they
and
all get
Blackwood are
there?
gone.
Like, because they started out as a battle of like 4-on-4 or something.
Yeah.
Then did they get into battle 4? Like they were battling, and then like 2 guys like ran home, and then they like called their banners and
Hold the
collected
banners.
like these massive armies together, like and like
over a boundary dispute.
were the first 3 bodies like sitting there for many days, or did they all run home, collect their armies, and come back? Because it takes a long time to organize armies. You can't just.
Yeah.
They're not just all
Takes
there.
like weeks.
Oh,
Well,
also,
oh yeah.
did you get the raven eating all of the memories of cheese?
Oh yeah, cheese. Yeah, I was eating it. There you go.
Yeah, that means the raven has gotten all the memories. That's how it works.
Oh my god. Oh, I was gonna say this is kind of a funny little story where when I watched the trailer for House of the Dragon months back, I thought the Bracken Lord or Knight or whatever he is,
Mm,
was a woman. And so when I saw
I
that, I
did
was like, "Oh, that's a
too.
guy." Because I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, are they like having like a female warrior like Brienne?" And then it turns out it's just like a very feminine looking guy.
very
I was
feminine
like,
guy.
"Wow, okay, all right,
Yeah.
my mistake." I'm happy I'm not the only one.
No, no, I totally thought it as well. I think everybody's review was like, and here we have like, these female warrior from House Bracken. Nope,
And there
nope, no,
and
that
there are
was a
probably
guy the whole
people that are
time.
like, wow, woke. They're diminishing the importance of Brienne and how she was the only woman. Like, it probably just started all this drama, and it's just like a very feminine looking guy.
I
Like,
mean,
I
it's the
bet that
Middle Ages,
happened.
man. That's like the sign of beauty back then. Any plans for Rain Waters in the fanfic? Yeah, obviously, Rain Waters is coming back. We're not leaving him high and dry. Um, I just don't know what we're gonna do with him yet. I mean, I feel like he's somebody to. If Victorian is coming home, you feel like Victorian would be the one to run into him. Um, but I don't know what to do with him yet. But this is assuming that Arain is the Prince of Waters down on the Stepstones.
And he's
Which
not. It's a new character. It's a new character. George is like, let's have a new pirate guy. I love pirates.
no, for a while I thought it was really hilarious if like George came out with the Winds of Winter and like it's just all new characters. It's like a Feast for Crows all over again, but it's like just a character in the Summer Isles and a character on
Oh
Nath,
my god.
and then like some random character in the Reach, and you're like, oh my god, like, and none of the characters are discussing like anything that's going on in the regular plot. It's just like all new shit. And you're like, for an absolute new expansion.
It's an Ibonese whaler. It's
Yeah, Ebenezer
yeah, it's like some
Whaler.
guy in Volantis.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Um,
you just open up the book, you open up the book and it just says like Gorgoth or something like that.
you're
You're like, who the fuck
right.
is Gorgoth?
We get a Jalbar Zoe, like you know. Oh man. Um, yeah, who said the armor was Valyrian steel? The one of the Kingsguard definitely said it.
Yeah, yeah. And he said it's Valyrian steel and Aegon the Conqueror's armor. Like so it's
Yeah.
like which is very convenient that it fits Aegon and they're the same size. I guess with armor you can have
I
padding
mean,
and
you're
stuff.
right that
Maybe that's
like
it.
the stereotypes of Aegon the Conqueror is that he was a big man, and
Yeah.
then uh, Aegon in this is he's petite, he's so just just fits. I guess
Got the
Aegon the
the
Conqueror is actually smaller.
breastplate. Wait, what is it? He says Robert
Breastplate
says like
stretcher.
breastplate stretcher. Let's do the opposite. The breastplate tightener or something like that.
Aegon slut shamed Aemond. Uh,
He did.
kind of reverse. Was didn't
Yeah,
he
wait,
kind
wait, no,
of?
no.
Yeah, he
He
did the
was like, "You're
reverse
with
of
your
slut shaming him. He
yeah.
was like, "Oh, you've
You
only been
stick with your
sleeping with the
first."
same sex worker." Like, slut shame is when you shame somebody for having sex too much. You know, um, he was mocking his brother for being
His monogamy.
monogamy. Yeah, yeah. Aegon the Second is the fun king. I mean, it's pretty
He's just a
true.
goofball.
I mean, if you were to hang out with one king or one monarch, okay, who would it be? Um,
Aegon the Third.
Viserys the Third. No, I mean Robert might be pretty fun to hang out with, but
Yeah.
he. Then again, he might. I feel like if I hung out with Robert, he'd start teasing me. I feel like Aegon the Second,
You
like
want
I
to
can
fight? You want to like punch you?
right, and he seems pretty nice. He's trying to give away sheep to people, you know. Um, I mean, I don't like I don't like the raping, but but and if he wants to go see child fights, I'd probably be like, yeah, maybe I'm gonna pass on the child fights, you know. But other than that, I it does make me wonder because like Aegon's personality so far doesn't seem like he'd be the type of guy that would be into child fights. Maybe the child fight thing is a bunch of bullshit. Maybe they made that up. Um,
Yeah.
let's see. Sometimes a true cross is a true cross. She's just crying, Preston. For fuck's sake, which person was crying? Oh, she's talking about Penny.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
This is okay. Now I've got to like
About her
bring
red
this like
eyes.
passage up so that people know what I'm talking about. Um, it's like trying to find this passage. Um,
Dream Targaryen blunt rotation. How many? Who would be the best Targaryens to smoke with? Somebody's asking. Aemon, Aemon, Aemon. Aemon, the old one in this in the original story.
um,
Let's see.
let's see here. So this is what this is. So the passage that I'm talking about here, everybody's like, "Oh, she's just crying. There's nothing to it." Uh, okay, look, I'll let you decide for yourself, but the the quote is she heard them now. Sorry, we're sorry. Sorry, you are sorry. Her lip was trembling, her cheeks were wet, her eyes were red rimmed holes.
Mm.
Okay. Red rimmed holes. Now, you're like, oh, you know, maybe that's nothing. But like the fact that like I've never heard eyes described as holes, except when they're holes in the werewood tree and they're
Mm.
red rimmed, as in like they're
The blood
the
stream,
sap.
the sap. Yeah.
Right. Like when people cry and their eyes are red, like the rims aren't red, like the whole eye is red. The whites are red, you're puffy, everything is red about the eye. Okay? You're not
Yeah.
the red rim is not a thing, okay, when you're crying. And so like being a red rimmed hole, like of course you're
Yeah.
making a werewood connection here. Um plus I'm trying to think, I think I'm that's Tyrion 8. Let me see here. Cuz I'm trying to also remember when the if they're cuz George likes to make these parallels with other chapters, and so it's like there's some chapters where John is that when the heads come back and they're eyeless, or is it when he like goes down to the
Oh, I think
the
the Mel chapter is the one with the eyeless heads.
okay, so Melisandre is chapter 31, and Tyrion 8, which is two chapters later,
Mm.
is the eye holes. So I mean, maybe you're just paralleling the de-eyed men, but I think even the de-eyed men gets paralleled
Are
to
they
the
on
to
werewood
the.
poles? Are they on?
I
Are they?
think
Are their
they I
heads on
think they
werewood
are, because I
poles?
think they're getting paralleled to the werewoods
Oh my
already, and then
god!
she's getting paralleled to the eyeless men from Melisandre 1, which is 2 chapters before. There's a Reek 3 between it, but like,
Chapter. Let me see.
right? So
Let me see.
it's just
You might be right. Who are the guys that die? Harry Hal. Yeah.
yeah,
What are the
Harry Hal
spears?
from Star Lady. Star Lady, for people, is George R. R. Martin's story where Harry Hal is on this planet. This rock is the name of the planet, and
Mhm.
um,
He has like a
it is,
withered arm, right? He's kind of
yeah,
like a
and
yeah.
character Stuttercat, I think, is in that, but the
This is Stumblecat.
Stumblecat,
Stumblecat.
Stumblecat. I'm
The
sorry, not
Marquis.
Stuttercat.
It's a beautiful story. It's an amazing story about SA, sexual assault, and all kinds and drugs and elf twinks. Like
Yeah,
it's quite a
oh my god,
large.
you're right. It's just elf twinks. Everybody's in love with the same twink for no reason. Golden boy, like, I remember it now. This is not a happy ending, or this is not a happy story or something. The story does not have a happy
Yeah,
ending. It's like, this
yeah.
story is about a bunch of people that are all in love with the same twink. Anyway, Harry, but no, definitely, like, definitely her. She's getting paralleled to the werewolves for some fucking reason, and some dead, and some heads on poles for
Because
some
it's
reason.
also paralleled with in the Winds of Winter chapter with oh, what's it called, the Morzumber's head is also
Oh
on a
yeah, yeah,
werewood
you're right.
staff.
Because eventually Moore's Umber's head gets on the Asha, in the Asha fragment, but that's
Mm.
already paralleled with the Golden Company's
Very hot.
golden
Oh my god.
skulls
Oh my god.
on their shafts, because they go into battle with the golden skulls on the spear, and he had, his head getting brought in on the spear. Uh, too many parallels, George. Everything's fucking.
it's a it's a bit of a mess. It's a bit of a yeah. Actually, at a certain point, it's just parallel to parallel. It seems like where it's too much. Like at a certain point, the parallels lose meaning. Oh, it's cool. I guess it's cool.
um, Last week's episode was phenomenal. I do agree. Characterization and humans talking like people about their problems and issues. It's the good stuff. Yeah. No, I last week I was really floored. I had nothing really bad to say about last week's episode. Um
Mm.
it, the and even when you get to the situation of, for instance, like the change they made of, like, because in the source material, Otto gets kicked out because he spends months like sending emissaries to the three sisters, and it's taking too long. And Aegon's like, I've been waiting around for months, and he chooses Kristen Cole out of nowhere to be Hand. Like, why would he choose Kristen Cole to be Hand? Like, this actually like explains it. Like, oh, he was impressed. And in the source material, I think it's Aegon's idea to send the Auric in the assassination scheme. But like the fact that, like, oh, he's impressed by Kristen Cole's scheme, therefore Kristen Cole is going to be Hand, because it's like a bold, rash move, and Otto thinks it's a really stupid move. Like, that makes more sense on why you would choose put in Kristen over Otto versus just, it's been months and I'm sick of you, old man, for dawdling, and I'm going to choose Kristen Cole out of fucking nowhere. Just everything just snapped together well, and every scene was just so good. And I was just a sucker, like, ending the episode on with Aegon weeping, and you're not even sure why he's weeping. Like, is he weeping over his dead son? Is he weeping over the stress? Is he weeping over the fact that Otto told him that his daddy didn't love him? Is it all the above? Like, I mean, it was well done. Episode
Yeah.
two. Um, who wrote? I'm gonna check these things. Maybe it's just all about the writers. Maybe we'll figure out who wrote episode two. Um, where's my episode list here? Episode two was written by Sarah Hess. So Sarah Hess, bravo, Sarah Hess. Sarah
Mm.
was given writing credit for episode 9, The Green Council, which, if you remove Kool-Aid Dragon, was a pretty fucking good episode too. A lot of character development. She was given writing credit for episode 6, Princess and the Queen. That's the time skip, which I think is one of the stronger episodes. And that's it. Those are her episodes. So while this one was David Hancock, and I do think that like he did pretty well. I mean, as much as I roll my eyes at the ending, like I do think the writing and characterization of this episode was very, very good. I mean, it's just to kind of go, oh God, that ending. Oh, and you don't catch Diana was the serving girl in the brothel. She was. I guess they wanted to bring her back, for some reason. Though I have to say, because she was like a serving girl or she was a a lady in waiting at in and so in those cases she knows things like how to comb hair, how to put out people's clothes, how to do washing. You'd think she would want to get a job with a similar similar skill set, but she goes to drink serving, which at a at a brothel where like it's pretty common that like Aegon would visit. Like I wouldn't want to work
Mm.
there. I'd choose like any other place to work.
I'm surprised. Speaking of like that scene, I was surprised how they're really humanizing the dragon seeds. They're really giving them
Yeah.
backstories and stuff.
Um. So who was the dragon seed this week? The guy who was claiming he was Baelor's, or or are they trying to bring in like Gaiman pale hair kind of stuff? Do you know what I'm
No,
talking about?
that's Ulf the White. So so he's
Oh,
Balon's
they're trying claiming it's
son. Yeah.
Ulf the White,
And then last episode was Hugh
Hugh the
Hammer.
Hammer.
Who is Hugh the Hammer's father? Alleged father, whatever. Yeah, but they're making them like likable and stuff because in the source material, like they're just assholes. Like
Oh
they're
my
really
god,
not
yeah, they're all
likable.
assholes. I mean, except for maybe you could argue that Hugh wasn't, right? Um,
Let's see.
or no, it's Adam. Adam is the one that's not the asshole because Adam is the one that like gets all worked up over the fact that he's called a traitor.
Mm,
But yeah, I think Ulf the
yeah.
White. Ulf the White's like the worst one. Um, and Hugh the Hammer. Ulf the White and Hugh the Hammer both try to. They switch sides a couple times, and they're dreadful. But but I think, I get why like they're putting Ulf and Hugh in King's Landing versus
They're just on Dragonstone
instead of putting on them
in
in
the source
Dragonstone.
material
Because I'm thinking like, are they going to get sent over
as like
undercover,
double
and then
agents.
it'll explain
Oh,
their defection or something? I don't know.
that's interesting because like the thing is I know that like Hugh the Hammer in the source material is like I think he's like a pedophile. Am I correct to this? Where they have like a something about him like being with like really young girls or something like that.
Oh, really?
So it's funny that they gave him like a wife and stuff, and like a child that he like cares about. beat he beat to death one of Rhaenyra's knights in dispute of a maiden. Um,
Good times,
it
good
was
times.
there's something like I remember reading something. It's been a while since I've read Fire and Blood. It might be Ulf. Oh, I think Ulf is just drunk all the time too. A kind of
Yeah, I
one
mean
note.
Hugh is the one I think who actually thinks he can be king,
Yeah,
and
because of the Robert prophecy.
yeah, but yeah, now they're trying to make them all likable, nice guys or something, you know. So, um,
Oh, I wanted to say you were right about the Bluetooth, the Dragon Bluetooth. That's actually how it works because Sea Smoke's still there
oh yeah,
with Laenor.
the oh, we talked about it for episode two. Like, are you talking about in episode two when Sea Smoke like flies over? Is that Adam of Hull, right?
Yeah,
Or are you talking about that
and they
scene?
bring it up in this. They bring it up in this episode too, with like Sea Smoke being restless and stuff. So like he needs a new rider, I guess is what they're saying. So
All right. Well, you know, if they're committing to the whole Lenore is secretly living his best life.
oh,
Perfectly fine.
somebody's saying Sea Smoke is specifically lonely because Laenor is still alive. I don't know. I
Hmm.
don't know if I got that. I think it was more that like he needs a rider, is what she was saying, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I guess they're explaining it through to Bluetooth and I mean now it's been years. By the way, it's been years now because
Right.
Lenore's faked his death, and then there was a time skip, right? So we're talking the dragon. The dragon's been without a rider for, for like I'm trying to think of the time skip between the those episodes, but it's like five. Was it 5 years? Something, some. But I don't know. I don't know why all of a sudden he would be getting lonely. Like right, why right now? He like senses war. He's like, ugh, getting lonely.
Yeah,
Um,
Laenor is living his best life. Maybe we'll see him.
Thoughts on your old series, The Minds of Wolves and Robins, a personal favorite of mine. Thank you for opening my eyes to George's other works. Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time. It's been many years since I've watched it, and I know it's a lot of people's favorite, uh, mainly because I ended it on this very hopeful note, and you know, I do think that like yeah, at the time I was like going through George's stuff and like I kind of felt that like how things went in that story, that maybe you know there would be a larger question of how to change all of society being addressed at the end of A Song of Ice and Fire. I mean, I'll have to rewatch it to really get a good uh, assessment of it. Sometimes I forget, and I'm like, it sounds really arrogant, but like often I'll get really insecure and I'll be like, oh, that series was horrible. And then I go back and I rewatch it. I'm like, nah, man, I really fucking, I really hit it out of the park. Like I rewatch something and then I'm like, I feel really confident about it. I'm like, oh no, that was actually pretty good. I really did a good job on that. It's like I'll question myself and I'll remember it as being worse than it is. And then I'll go back and watch it. And I'll be like, oh, actually, so I should rewatch it. Um, I think in the time span though, since I did that video, I've grown um, less confident in George. Like you know, I do think George is a genius and everything, and obviously, but like I think I think I've grown to the point where like I realized that he's been making it up as he went along, and he didn't really know how to end things, you know, and like um, and,
It's like the Wizard of Oz. You see behind the curtain, and it's like, oh
yeah.
crap.
So I think I don't know if even George knew how he was going to end it, even though like people have asked him in interviews, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know how I'm going to end it." And I'm like, maybe plot point wise, but there's thematic. there's very important thematic elements that really like drive home how something can end, like and how you're going to feel even if the events are all the same. So
Because you're
um
right, like in the show, like in like the show, there was an ending, but like thematically, it didn't feel like things were tied up. Like how is Westeros going to break out of the cycle of violence and stuff? I guess they kind of did it with like level of democrat, like oligarchy or something like that. So I don't
yeah,
know, but it wasn't enough. I feel like.
right. I think the ending I think about in the minds of Wolves and Robins is like recognizing that the others um are a different type of people, and that there needs to be some sort of reconciliation at the end, um
Mm.
rather than them being pure evil. And of course the show
And just
happens
dying.
and the others are pure evil, and it's more of a subversion of expectations that like their plot line gets ended, and then we have this other story that needs to get resolved with Danny and the Iron Throne. And then you get this weird Tyrion, what binds people together? Stories. Which is like so out of left field that I feel like it has to be George. Like D&D would not have
Oh,
come up with something so weird on their own.
I really hope the show isn't how the others are wrapped up, because like what a disappointment, like that they're just evil and they all die and we don't even know what they wanted or what they
Right.
like.
I mean, the thing is, like, I've heard like the the interviews I've heard where George talks about the others, he's contradicted himself, and so I don't know what the truth is. So
Mm,
somebody once asked him like, if the others could be compared to some social problem, what would it be? And he was like, oh, global warming, climate change. And you're like, okay, so so the others are just evil, because climate change is just evil. For like there's nothing, there's no like deep-hearted good. But then I was sitting next to it, sitting next to a woman that asked him, are the others just evil or is there more to their story? And he's like, well, you're gonna have to keep on reading, so which makes me
okay.
think, oh, I mean, maybe he was thinking about not revealing the Children of the Forest or the cause for it plot or whatever, because this was all before Hold the Door. um
Oh,
so I don't know. I mean, it's
yeah. Because
it's
he's had forces like the others in his other work. Because there's like the, what is it, like the white eater worms
mm-hmm.
in the House of the Worm, or whatever, which feel like the others, where they're like an unstoppable force that
Yes,
the world needs to bind against and stuff, and that's like it just an evil, like there's no reasoning with them or anything. But there's also
right.
like the grounds, like there's the grounds, which are like actually
Right.
human and
Clearly the
misunderstood. So
grounds, like humanity and the grounds, because the grounds are just humans, like need to reconcile. They need to start breeding to increase their gene pools. They need to deal with the worms, right? And their
mm,
dying sun. Um, so it could be very well be that, and that humanity has to deal with an external problem and then with themselves. But Minds and Wolves and Robins treated the others like, no, this is a force that has its own reasons, that and needs to be um, diplomatically dealt with or something in the end. But
mm.
which
I feel
I
like there
guess
has to
I'm
be something,
I guess I'm more insecure
because
on.
like we need answers why they were taking sheep. Like why the heck were the others taking sheep in addition to crash their sons? What's that all about,
Right.
George?
What's with the Black Gate? What's with yeah, why are sheep okay? You know? I mean, I've told you the story of Abu Lail.
No, no, what's that?
So when I lived in Jordan, a buddy of mine lived in a village, and he said in his village, there was a lot of problems with his village. Like he said that like a lot of his students would skip class and would like go to the woods and like jerk each other off and stuff. And he and
Okay.
and people are like, oh, they're just blowing off steam, because they can't be near women, and you're like, I didn't, okay, like That's fine, whatever. But then he said there's this one guy who everybody called him, and I don't know how many stories the guy was just making up about his village, but like he's like he claims there was one guy who would go around in the night and have sex with people's sheep, and everyone called him Abu Lail, which is like the father of the night, and like he'd go
Oh my
around
god.
and like
Oh my god.
so. He would tell all sorts of stories, so I don't know how many are true. He would also tell a story
That's
that he took it
insane.
that he took the Quran and cut it in half and made bathroom slippers out of it and stuff like that. And so I don't know any of the stories. I have no idea, but he
The father of the night. That's like
father of the
actually like
night, Abu
a
Lail, and they all kind of laughed.
crazy
They're
ass
just like,
like nickname.
"Oh no, Abu Lail."
Oh my
Ugh.
god.
Um. So I mean, I don't know. I guess obviously the show and the plot points that are ruined in the show make me think about what George's original plot points are, which makes me think that the idea that the others, were going to be diplomatically dealt with is, maybe wishful thinking, which I thought that would be great, would be good, but maybe the others
I,
just wanted sheep to fuck. I don't know.
I still like the genetics of the Targaryen series. That's still great. Like I love the idea that like the Maesters knew something and wanted to eliminate specifically like Rhaenyra's line and Daemon's line and stuff. Like I think that explains a
Yeah.
lot. And
I mean,
I hope it
absolutely. Like all their ridiculous, like nonsensical, like you can't get married here. We're against Damon Blackfire here.
Mm,
Um, I'm more confident and about that series than I am about um, Wolves and Robins. Even though Wolves and Robins
mm.
does make sense, like there's so few left, and the bottlenecking, like genetic bottlenecking and stuff like that. But um, I don't know, you know.
And the fact that George wrote about that in other work, like Dark Where the
Dark
Tunnels
Dark One of the
is all
Tunnels,
about
yeah,
that.
and even the
And that
grounds.
like
I mean, in the House of the Worm, like how they need to marry the grounds as well, and whatever. It's kind of the
yeah.
same thing that everybody just needs to bang. Everybody just needs to bang each other.
And that like it's I like that like in Dark Where the Tunnels where it's like not just like genetic bottlenecking but like cultural bottlenecking.
Yeah,
Like that like
absolutely.
you need new ideas from other cultures to survive. Like I love that idea.
Yeah, those guys were like the most enlightened motherfuckers in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like our society has been stagnant. We need like an influx of new ideas and new genes. When societies are in decline, they tend to double down, right? They're like, our society's falling apart. Stop the immigrants. Like it's always
Right,
stuff like
right.
that, right?
That
But
never
these
happens
guys,
where
it's like
people
their
are like, we
society
need
is in
more
decline,
immigration.
and they're like, no, what we need like new genetic material and new ideas coming in to wake us up. Like, wow, you guys are really progressive dudes on this. Just don't go around like killing any telepathic dudes that can control mice. Um, Rhaenyra remix. Where a habit? Where a, is that the?
Is that what a nun wears?
Yeah, I don't.
I've
That's the
never
thing
heard
is
that.
that I don't know the.
A religious habit, yeah, yeah. Distinctive clothing for of a member of religious order. Look at that.
I
Look at
don't
this like
know.
really intelligent fan here.
I know.
That's awesome. Just knew that offhandedly.
Does George even use habit as a? No, 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 no. I'm like going through every use of habit in his.
He used it once and jumped the starlight or whatever. This one football short story. feel like he might if it's like a Catholic thing.
I
But
know, I know,
Way of Crossing Dragon, he's like, you gotta use the habit.
but I do not see it in any of the. But it's sometimes just by chance, like like he just never
Mm.
got around to it. No, but he hasn't used it in at least Ice and Fire. Wear habit. I need to see. I'm not like Glidus. I'm not really a musician who's very good at making music. I got lucky. I got lucky with. Do you think that was Benjicat Blackwood at the start? It's so funny that they introduced the two characters from the source material in season one, and then they just kind of they dropped them, right, as characters. Um, so
I think the actor confirmed that it actually is Benjicott
oh
Blackwood.
really?
Yeah, he like posted fan art of him. Like somebody already made fan art of him from like, the promo, and he's like, "I love this. I'm so happy to be playing Benjicott." And you're like, "Oh, okay. I guess you're Benjicott Blackwood. All right." So that's what I heard at
Um,
least. Let me see, Benjicott. Oh no! He is Davos Blackwood. He's not Benjicott. Somebody found out already. Oh,
okay.
I think it's Davos Blackwood. I've never heard this character before. Is it his
So
brother or something?
Benjicat supposed to be the little is supposed to be the little boy, right? From in the duel?
Yeah,
No, no,
Benjicott's
no.
the young lord, Bloody Ben. Like he's like a kid. He's like 12 years old or something, but he's like a
Oh
really
wait,
crazy
because
guy in battle.
Sam dies at the Battle of the Burning Mill, and he's in the duel to Amos,
Mm,
right? But
right.
in the we see Sam. Oh well, I don't know if they're the same characters, but that duel we see the one dude just completely gutted in
Yeah.
and you don't think that guy's surviving, but they're supposed to survive and then have fates in the war. Um,
Mm.
so it's like was Amos in was that supposed to be Amos at the beginning of the or is Amos going to appear later?
Mm.
Amos. Oh wait,
Let me
Amos.
see.
No, Amos Bracken is the one that gets gutted, right? Because
Trying to keep
um,
track.
by
Burning
by
Mill.
by
Okay.
Samwell. But
Yes. So maybe there's like a generation skip. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
slip this around because clearly in that scene, well, Am- Amos wins in the book, but clearly in first season we saw Sam like gut Amos. So
Yeah.
unless these are completely different
But Sam won
characters,
in the show.
yeah, and now, but
I I I think that's Benjicott Blackwood, but they changed his name to Davos for some reason, but I don't know why. Cause why would they introduce another young Blackwood character? Like invent
yeah,
one.
I do you think I don't know if the Blackwoods and the Brackens are going to be in this at all
Yeah, maybe
anymore.
they don't care.
But they just
Maybe we're looking
like
way too
everyone was
much
making
into
a
this.
big deal out of them because they were in the trailer, and then we see what it was, and it's like there we go.
That was
Um,
yeah, now people are debating in the comments here. Uh yeah, but it's not gonna matter. We're never seeing that character again.
I remember.
Oh gosh. Hmm. Um,
uh,
how'd you like those bats at Harrenhal?
I
Oh
did.
boy.
I noticed them, man. I was like, yeah, bats, motherfucker. They weren't that giant though. I wanted like big giant bats. Um,
We need
huge giant bats coming out. Um,
got that wolf that grows wings. We got that Sansa reference, like the
Yeah,
Just
bats in your
randomly brought up for no
belly and
reason.
jumping out of a tower like a wolf with growing wings. All the weirdness. Um, Bela is a bad actress. Uh, I don't. I don't know. Was there anything that Bela did that made you think she was bad? This episode gave more
Uh,
attention to to Reina, um,
yeah.
who
I
was
thought she was okay.
really upset for about getting sent to the Vale. She's like ready to cry.
I think she was also like I think it was that she has no dragon, so she feels like everybody's making fun of her for it and stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
she's got that hatchling now. Like get over it.
yeah, I thought Bela was fine.
Yeah, she had her scene
Um,
last week um with
with
Jace.
Jace, yeah.
Worked out okay. You know, um, just could be that Lenore is dead and Seasmoke is more restless because of it. It could be. I mean, you're right that it could be that by coincidence Lenore died from some completely unrelated thing at the same time as the war was beginning. you know, he got like he caught like the flu. He got
Caught
COVID
the flux.
and
He
he
caught
just fucking
the pale
died.
mare.
Yeah, it was like it wasn't even anything. You know, um, he like stepped on a nail and he got an infection and he just
Tetanus.
died.
Because what does he do? And presumably he's like a sellsword or something, right? Like probably
Yeah, I
right.
guess
I don't
so.
know. I
You'd
don't know
think he'd bring enough
what would
like
he do?
you're highborn, like bring enough like silver jewelry that you don't have to work too much.
I
But
bet, I bet there's a really amazing story. He was with the Dothraki. He was their call. There's something really amazing there. He was in the he went to Valyria
I
with
mean,
his
he did
lover.
say that he really liked sailing and going to battle. So it does seem like he would make a good like
Like
ocean
Cell
going,
Sail.
yeah, like sail
Yeah.
sail warrior, you know. Um yeah, so maybe he got gutted just around the same time. Um use AI to generate some samples. So I read I've recently seen some interesting things about how we are actually probably at the peak of where AI can actually get to, and that contrary to everybody being like, "Oh my God, AI is going to change the world," we're actually like we're pretty much there, and it's not going to get any better. And the reason for it is apparently um, not that AI like isn't good for things that you do over and over again, like say a teacher filling out a performance appraisal for a student. Like there's so many teachers and so many students that you can get a good like you can pop something out that's near perfect. But the problem is that like the information you have, you get diminishing returns. It's logarithmic in scale. So you have to think like the whole internet and everything has been already thrown into ChatGPT, and it's gotten this good. So you're trying to say like how much better can it get? So if you want it to get 50% better, you have to throw in like 30 more internets, or whatever. Like how are you going to get 30 more internets? Well, human beings create the original content on the internet. So like they would have to keep creating unless they start. But then as time goes on, though, more AI gets thrown into the internet. And so then it starts um, eating itself and you start, you know, whatever human centipeding. And it just, then it starts getting worse because now it's eating
Oh,
its own AI created crap. And, so it's like, if AI is successful in getting people out of work, then it has no material to work with to become better at its algorithm. But so there's good argument that like we're not going to get much better, like unless there's some new technology that comes out that's more creative than just taking what exists and like working off of it, because you know you need a lot of good content from people in order to like predict, especially when you're talking
Mm.
about something specific. So, you know, I wish you could just AI generate George, but you probably can't. You know,
Yeah.
um, um, thoughts on George's dragon name etymology? Elden Ring has several dragons that contain the suffix axe, which reminds me of Valyrian gods in A Song of Ice and Fire. Uh, I know, I know.
I don't think there's
Trey
much
loves
to it. I
getting
think he's
asked about
lazy.
Elden Ring.
I think he's lazy.
Um, I mean, is there anything? Do you think it's beyond random noises? Like when you look at like Vermax, you know,
I
Arax.
and it's something not just George does, because I know like Skyrim has some dragon names that have the axe in it. So maybe he's just following like tradition of like of fantasy authors to
Yeah,
do
I see
that.
what you're
Like, let me see.
saying. There's something about I saw a stand-up comedian years ago and he was talking about how like um when in sci-fi movies the aliens always have names like Quasax or whatever, and it's like why is it that aliens choose to use the letters the most that we use the least? You know, like why is it
Yeah.
why is it going to be Quasax? Um, you know, it's the same. Like why would they be throwing around X's so much? You know, and the idea is that oh, you're trying to create some weird foreignness to it by throwing in the letters that we use the least. Or George loves to add apostrophes, do apostrophe stuff to make stuff seem foreign. You know,
Or the Y, where he adds like a Y instead of an
yeah,
I or E, and you're like, oh, why you do that?
right,
'Cause,
right.
okay, because there's Parthenax in Skyrim, and then I need to look back what the dragon and Dragon Slayer was called, because I think it's also like an axe name. Like it might be something from like, I don't know, like Nordic mythology or something like that that he's just using. Um, like he uses Valyrian. Like Valyrian is something that is a classic like fantasy thing, because that's in Dragon Slayer, which is
Mhm.
before A Song of Ice and Fire. So I don't know. I don't know if there's much to it than George just likes, and as well as other fantasy authors just like having an axe at the end of stuff with dragons. Um, like let me think if there's any like Nordic. Then my cat's like directly in front of me. Nordic mythology dragon names. I don't know.
Funny,
Like
I'm looking at like famous dragon names: Falcor,
Falcor,
Smaug, uh,
Smaug.
Drakon.
Like George gets like the YR stuff from like Old English,
Mhm.
like Wharm, like that. Like that's totally
Yeah,
taken from like old history stuff. Jormungandr, Fafnir, like they're kind of similar. Like I don't know. He must get it from somewhere, like the axe stuff. I don't know where.
yeah.
Mm.
The more X's, the better. That's just the way it
Elden Ring
is.
definitely Elden Ring definitely has George's like naming conventions, where there's like Godfried and let me think of some others. Like yeah, where like there's the YR stuff. Like there's definitely stuff like that like, oh, it's either George or somebody imitating George with the names. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's much to it besides that. Excuse me, cat, get down.
What is um
Elden Ring names. Godwin, yeah. These are all like kind of George-esque names. Dragon
I don't know
names. 'Cause let's
why.
see.
Yeah, I don't know why like why Cyrax? Is there any reason for Cyrax? It just sounds. She's named after Valyrian goddess Cyrax. But hmm. But it
Yeah,
sounds.
Vermithrax is the name of the dragon in Dragon Slayer, which is like that's totally like
Oh,
George.
really?
That's totally like it sounds like a
Vermouth?
like
That's like
Vermithrax
already
pejorative, yeah.
Vermithrax, because it's like
Oh, and
Vermithor.
Vermithrax is used in A Song of Ice and Fire, apparently. Or this is like some fan wiki. Where's
Oh,
Vermithrax
okay.
from?
Yeah, I've never heard
But
of
it's also something from Dragon Slayer, like
1981. Yeah, 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 1981 movie
yeah.
Dragon Slayer.
So maybe he's just a Dragon Slayer fan. Maybe George just really liked the movie Dragon Slayer. It wouldn't
Oh,
surprise
he
me.
does. Like he loves all of those super early 80s crappy fantasy movies.
So
Um,
I think it's more that George likes old fantasy movies that use this naming convention, and so he reused it in A Song of Ice and Fire
right. I
and
mean, clearly
Elden
Vermithor
Ring.
is named after Vermithrax, and then Arax and Taraxes and all these. The axe is, and keep in mind, there's a character named Valyrian in and there's a character named Tyrion in this movie. So just
Oh,
also
okay. Well, there you
there's a
go.
character named Ulfius, Ulfilus, and things like
Because a
this.
while ago, I used to think Valerian was taken from the Roman Emperor Valerian, who was what is it? He was captured. He was one of the only Roman emperors captured by the Persians, and he was either turned into like a human footstool for like the Persian king, or he was like flayed alive and turned into like a scarecrow. And I was like, oh, that's like
Like
the
Reek,
House
yeah.
Bolton stuff. Yeah, it's like Reek, but it's like how much of that is me just like really looking at stuff and if just George even heard of this kind of minor Roman emperor, I don't know. Um, so yeah, who knows? Who knows with George?
Oh, good old Dragon Slayer. Well, man, so much is based on that. Huh. Huh.
Because Dragon Slayer inspired Berserk too. There's a lot of Berserk in Dragon Slayer.
Should do a rewatch of Dragon Slayer. Um, oh crap, yeah. By the way, Trey and I both watched uh the George's Doorways, and
Oh
we really
yes,
need to do a we need to do a review of
Doorway
Doorways.
rewatch.
I think I got Carmine watched a little bit. I don't know if he finished it, but it's just like
Oh my god.
it's such a George property. It's not good in any way, but it's so George. Like every moment of it. Oh my god! Sometime we have to talk about it. Ugh.
Yeah, yeah,
What do you think about all the hate the new Elden Ring expansion is getting because the last boss turned out to be an incestuous gay couple, and Miyazaki revealed it all came from George's original lore. Really? This happened? Do you
Oh.
know about
Oh, did he
this?
do that? Did he really? Because I know about the hubbub about oh gosh, see, all the names are very similar in mine. So it's like there's Mog, there's
Uh,
Mog the what is his name? Mog the Omen, who has like it's like his gay lover consort thing that like in the original game. See, I'm gonna butcher it. He like wanted his power, uh, and he's like in a cocoon and stuff. And they revealed that like Mog was actually under. He wasn't like he didn't steal the gay lover. The gay lover was controlling him, like it was the other way around. So they revealed that and that he's like a secret mastermind. What is his name here? People are gonna yell at me for not knowing his name. It's been a while since I played Elden Ring. All right, um, it's Mog. What's the deal with McQueen? Oh God, this is a classic. I feel like this is a George name. Michaela. Micula. Oh, sorry, it's Micula. Yeah, yeah, it's all coming back to me. Micula is actually like the secret mastermind who's like playing everybody all along. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't know. Micula. Yeah, yeah, Micula. There's no sexual relationship. Yeah, that's something that the fans made up. That like it's more like a consort for power kind of thing.
oh, I see.
Um, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I only said that as like that's like what the fans have been talking about. Yeah, so
Oh, by the
I
way,
don't know.
when talking about like fan headcanon, um so in this episode, Helena, you know how like fan headcanon was that Helena is autistic? Like
Hmm.
in this episode, she in no way acts like an autistic person
No, no, you're right.
at all. And you're like, no, like
Yeah.
maybe in the end she was just bothered by her visions and that's it. Like this whole like, oh, she's coded autistic and all this. Like there's just she was in no way autistic in this episode. She was making eye contact. She was having all sorts of conversations like a regular person out of fucking nowhere. So I don't know. I think it's just I think this was just headcanon that the fans had that Helena was autistic. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that too, where she talks like she's a little like social, like a little awkward, I guess, like socially awkward, but I don't know if it's necessarily autism. I don't know. I don't know.
yeah,
And there's of course of like how like a script writer who doesn't have autism perceives autism versus what actual autism's like. Like
right.
I think of
Yeah.
all those 90s movies where there's
Right, like
like
Rain Man and
they're
whatever.
like
Yeah.
a super genius and they're like you're like, I don't know if
Yes.
that's exactly how that works.
Um but did you see George's latest Nada blog, which was yesterday?
No, what
He
did he say on Not a Vlog?
he won a
No.
fucking Nebula award
For what?
for his work on Elden Ring,
Okay.
right?
This is
And
like
so he has
this is the
this
thing that will carry
he
with me when I die till I die.
I know, but this is what's ridiculous. So he actually has a picture. I'm going to put it up here. And this is
Mm,
how like fucking cuz first of all, I am with you, Trey. I think he went in for a fucking afternoon and was like,
yeah.
"Oh, sure, I did some more building." Like I think it was like literally like a day's work. Okay? And he showed this picture, which is his three Nebula awards. The one on the left is for Sand Kings. The one in the middle
Okay,
is for Portrait
deserved.
of His Children, and the one on the
Okay.
right is for Elden Ring. And
Really?
yeah, yeah. So
This
like,
is weird things to give him a nebula for.
right? Like, first of all,
All
like
three of
Portrait
those are
because
kind of
you
weird.
really liked Portrait of His Children, and Sand
Yeah.
Kings is phenomenal. Sand Kings is this like
Yes.
small one, and his biggest one is over
I-
here. His
It,
fucking half day work
it, it,
for
it
fucking
must have been
Elden Ring.
a slow year for Portraits of His Children. I like Portraits of His Children. It must have been a slow day for Portraits of His Children to win a nebula. Like that does not deserve a nebula, in my opinion. It's a solid book, but in no
But it's
way
not
is
it's
like
not it's not it's not or Nebula winning, you're saying. No. Oh, I'm
and this
sorry.
is
This wasn't a was it a Nebula or a Hugo? No, it's a Nebula.
um
It's a Nebula.
it's a nebula.
Yeah, yeah.
This is like I feel like this was done just to spite me. Him getting a nebula for Elden Ring.
Just for
People heard me complaining about it because apparently I'm like the only person complaining about it. Just it was kind of like a joke. Like I know that he did some, but I think like to name him as like for him to
See,
win an award
I'm
like
gonna
this
go
was a
further
bit
than
much.
you. I don't think he did very much. I think okay, maybe it's not a day's work, but I don't think it's more than a week's work. You
Then
know,
an
I don't.
outline, then an
Yeah,
outline, or him giving him a bunch of names. Like I think he gave him a bunch of names. I think he gave him like maybe some I see. I don't know. See, like here's the thing: is I wasn't there. I don't know, but it doesn't feel like much because whatever he did, it's not visibly George R. R. Martin in a significant way for him to be named a writer and stuff. It was. I think it was
right.
pretty
It's
much
also
a
tough
lot of
because like
marketing.
the other people writing are fans of his, trying to mimic
Mm,
his like writing
right.
style, and so
And George is very similar to his a lot of his worlds take inspiration from H.P. Lovecraft and Elden Ring, like the From Software games take a lot of inspiration from Lovecraft too, like and Conan and
yeah.
Tolkien, like
Not
how
to
much
mention,
of
yeah,
it
that
is
everybody
just
just
like
copies each other on this
right,
stuff
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Um,
So it's funny.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
so. I did not know this. That is so silly that he won a Nebula for This is a weird lineup for Nebula. Why? Why? Like, okay, Sand Kings
I
is
want to. I'm see
great.
now. I'm trying to look up like who won the year that like who is he up against like during the year that
The slow year.
portraits of his children won.
Because people are like, oh, there's incest in Elden Ring, and it's like, well,
There's
like
incest
a
in
lot of
so
in
much of
every
fantasy.
fantasy. Yeah, yeah. Where people are like, and people are pointing that, and people are like, there's Tom girls in Elden Ring. It's like, well, there's Tom girls in all kinds of fantasy stuff. That's like almost like a trope in fantasies to have a Tom girl that it doesn't follow gender norms. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm not the only one that feels this way about Elden Ring. And granted, people have seen this with me. I'm not this huge Elden Ring expert, but I am like a George. I feel like I am a George expert. So I don't know. Like I think it's overstated at the very least. How much
Okay,
work
let's
George
see
did.
here.
Yeah, I want
Um,
to see what Nebula. Yeah, Nebula. Because it might be for, is it for like, because I know Portraits of His Children is a short story, but it's also it was turned into a short story collection.
it right, but it would no. This is for the short story
Oh, all right.
for appearing in Asimov's science fiction. So this is who he beat. He beat Michael Bishop, A Gift from the Greylanders. He beat Orson Scott Card, who wrote a story called The Fringe. He beat Harlan Ellison, Paladin of the Lost Hour. Um,
Okay. Maybe it was a slow year. Maybe it was a
yeah,
slow year because a lot of these are not really well known.
right. And
Um,
I understand that like Orson Scott Card is like kind of famously because of his conservative leanings, like they tend not to like to give him stuff too. But Michael Swanwick, William Gibson for Dogfight, Lucius Shepard for Jaguar Hunter, S.K. Skikes for Rockabye Baby. But the year was
hmm.
1986, so who knows? Who knows? Best novelette or whatever is
It's
best
this
no.
is weird. I'm looking at like what George has been nominated for. Song for Leah is a very obvious one. Storms of Windhaven, that's one of the few I haven't read of George, but I've heard it's good.
Yeah,
Unsound Variations being nominated is very weird to me. It's an okay story. It's not great.
right, right.
um,
But the thing is like I feel like all of these dudes know each other. They're all friends with each other, so it's
yeah,
you know.
yeah. That's the thing. That's the thing is like the only people that really, I don't know. You have to be like a science fiction nerd to really read all those stories in a year. So it's really just for them, like for each other. Like it's not
Yeah,
like the Oscars where everybody watches the Oscar movies and knows what they are, at least most of them, like the average person. But nobody's reading Harlan Ellison's. Well, maybe his fans will, but like I don't know some of the minor ones like Lisa Tuttle. Like I don't know how many people, maybe people at the time read them, but I don't know.
I have no idea. I've like no idea these like small communities.
It's George's. It's like when he talks about the nerd orgies or whatever, whatever
Yeah,
he's talked about. Like I'm
like
sure it's
this
big
is how you
within
get a
their small
Hugo,
group.
man, or this is how you get them. Carmine, man, how you doing?
Hey, Carmine.
Just uploading stuff. Trey, I do agree that you are a George R. R. Martin expert, but not as I wouldn't say you're on the level of Preston because he would be like the George R. R. Martin teacher. You're more like the substitute teacher, still up there, but
I'm
you
like
would come
the.
in.
I would put myself as like the apprentice. Like I'm learning
Preston, you have no
in
idea
the
how many fucking
monastery.
people when he substituted for you, people were like, "Is that Preston doing like a younger voice?" I'm like, "What? Why does that
Or
guy
they said,
sound like
"Am I
Preston?"
related to you or something?" It's I think I pick up on like your way of speaking or something, so I'm like copied you.
I don't know. I think people just think all white people look the same or something.
In Westeros, would Trey be considered white? I feel like he'd be more Dornish, maybe from
I'm
Essos.
I'm quarter Chinese. I'm from ET or
There
ET.
it
I'm
is.
from ET. Quarter Chinese and Polish, so I'm
So
from
Preston, you're finally back.
Yes.
Mm. Mm.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't mean by the way from overseas. I meant from that child's birthday party. How was it? Are you okay?
I did go to a birthday party earlier today. Um, they had a so when you go to these kids' birthday parties, there tends to be a gimmick. You know, you have to have a gimmick. Can't just be a party, right? So like you have to either be like you go bowling, or there's like a petting zoo or something, you know. So the gimmick today was they had an inflatable like water slide, and then a they hired a guy to come and shoot suds from a cannon, and these suds like shoot out, and they build like this huge like pile of suds 3 feet tall in the yard that the kids can like run through. It's like really weird, but that's what went down. That's what went down at the kid's birthday party.
I call him. I call him like, "Hey man, are you okay? Like, sounds like you're busy in the background." He goes, "Nah, I'm just at a child's birthday party. I know nobody here. What's up?" So let me guess. You hated the Rhaenyra dressed as a septa. You hated that.
um, I mean, I thought it was pretty silly. I don't think the scene necessarily was like dreadful, like the two talking. I think Trey and I were talking about how it seems like they should have built it up more for maybe later in the season, that we would have tolerated it better. But
Does
it
it
was
even matter if they talk now? Because they're eventually going to talk later when Rhaenyra takes King's
Right.
Landing. Like,
Yeah.
does it
Right.
matter?
Like why not wait? Why not wait to build up that more, I don't know, impact of the war and stuff? It would
Because
be more
Ryan
dramatic.
Condal, because Ryan Condal wants to make sure the audience knows that before Rhaenyra orders all this crazy shit to go down, she tried super duper hard
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
a pacifist. She tried really hard
Yeah.
to avoid this. Now all bets are off. Next episode, all bets are off now. So I wonder if she still will be in King's Landing when they parade the head around King's, because we saw leaks from that. You know what I'm talking about, right, Trey?
Yeah.
I did not read the leaks that you sent me. Oh God, head.
Wait, hold on. Look on Discord real quick. Because
Yeah. I've clicked because I didn't want to spoil it for myself because I thought it was leaks for the episode, and I was like, I'm gonna watch the
no,
episode.
it's
Oh
from the
God,
book. Hold on.
head.
This right here. They do that. So I wonder if like Rhaenyra will be in King's Landing when they parade that array. Wait,
I
you've
know. I
read-
think that's
you've
too
read
long.
what?
It's too long for it to kill.
Yeah.
Because like the parade
to be
has
out
to
of
happen in episode 5, right?
I have no idea. I don't. I'll tell you why. Because from the leaks I read, which have been pretty accurate, it looks like they moved scenes around. Because Burning Mill was supposed to be episode 2.
But
Huh.
but I'm just talking like, you know, if in the next episode we have Rook's Rest,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'd have to like transport the body
Head.
back from Rook's Rest.
That's right. Never mind.
Yeah,
Rhaenyra's not
Probably be
chilling
episode 5.
out. She's not chilling out in King's Landing. Like
She's not. In the episode preview that we see, she's back. Episode 4 preview, we see she is back on Dragonstone. You are correct. I was just wondering if they're that fast with it, but this is House of the Dragon, not Game of Thrones. Not everybody has the jetpack. They didn't invent them back then in the preview.
it was, I mean, they've been somewhat jetpacky. I mean, they get back and forth
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Dragonstone and King's Landing really fucking fast. And like, Damon was in a rowboat.
There was a little bit with what's his name going to the wall too, like him going to
Yeah,
the wall. There's a
yeah.
little bit of jetpack in there.
He
had a dragon,
The people
so-
that were making excuses were like, it just so happened coincidentally, Cregan was at the wall, and so Jace arrived at Winterfell, and they were like, Cregan's not here. He's at the wall. Oh, okay, I'll fly to the wall. Like that's like.
We got to
That-
discuss this on the podcast because we
Yeah.
haven't. You weren't there for this. The fandom was so busy bitching about Blood and Cheese that I guess they forgot to bitch about no Pact of Ice and Fire, no Sarah Snow, like all that other crap.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
we'll go
yeah.
into it briefly because you've been gone.
Well, I mean, who needs Sarah Snow when we got Aemon's dick, man? We got Aemon's dick. That's all we fucking
Trey,
need.
Fucking Trey, what'd you say? You messaged me about that briefly.
What did I say? I said
Not
What did
prepared
I
for
say?
Eamon's balls.
Not prepared for Eamon's balls. Because we got side nudity. We got like him at the side last episode. It was like, oh, okay, this actor doesn't want to show his body, and it was like, oh no, he does. He does.
We also got our first fellatio on
Uh,
screen. I feel bad
Well,
for
I
that woman. She
mean,
was
that was
probably
not a real dick, but
that was not a real dick, right? But I feel bad for that woman. She was it was probably
like
a rubber
like the
type like
smooth
grab.
that's like the smoothest, like cleanest shaft. Like
it had no veins. It was just
no
it was like a
veins, no
pipe.
hair, just like it was completely like one solid color the entire like uh um
Oh.
we don't really get we don't really have AI yet at all. We just have machine learning. That is pretty true, and I think this is the whole thing. Like this talk about this AI revolution is that we're not producing anything new. We're taking the data we have and approximating it,
Hmm.
in a certain output. And so I remember I saw something about like when you Google just like elephant images and then you actually create um, like AI elephant images, and the AI elephant images are more similar in color and everything than the actual like elephant images, and so you're actually getting less less variety when you actually use AI, because AI is naturally an approximation, and so you're they're cutting out all of the odd variants, the weird stuff like that. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, people ask me all the time, like, "Oh, can't we use AI to like make a George fanfic chapter?" And I was like, no, it's way
They tried
too.
doing that. We went over that. They tried doing an AI Davos chapter. Remember that? You read it
Mhm.
on stream. It was fucking
Yeah,
terrible. It
yeah.
was terrible.
What did it have him do? I missed this. What did they have Davos do
Oh, I
on
gotta find this
Skagos?
for you. It's the most retarded thing ever. I gotta.
Because
Someone
like
please
that's the
send it to.
thing.
Was he in prison? Was he in prison?
He was in a jail cell,
No,
and
he
he had
keeps
two
thought. Remember,
jailers.
Preston? He keeps thinking back to his missing fingers.
Oh,
You don't remember this? Someone, if
I,
you're in the Discord, please send it to me
I
again.
probably
Someone did.
I was drunk or something. I don't know.
The thing with like the thing with like AI generated George is that it kind of defeats the purpose, because like I don't know, you read George because it's George and it's got George's weird ideas in it, and so if you
Right.
make an approximation of him, it's not the same.
That's kind of
Hmm.
my weird like thing about the fandom when, back in the heyday, I'm talking like a decade ago, when everything was R plus L equals J and John's gonna save the world. And then eventually you read all of George's stuff and you're like, George is about he's so about subverting expectations. Like, and
Hmm.
as bad as season 8 was, it did subvert expectations, which is a clear George marker. No one was
Yeah.
expecting like the events that happened, which does scream George. But like the last thing George would ever have would be Jon Snow saving the world and having like an Aragorn moment and it being like the end. Like that would just be like the last thing George R. Martin would ever fucking write. Um,
Right.
but if you're in this AI mindset of I'm approximating all fantasy books I've ever read, and like this is the ending that comes out, you understand why like everybody came to this conclusion that Jon Snow was like the classic hero. Um,
Hmm.
but
It would create that there's that like that painting of like Jon and Daenerys, and they have like babies on their laps, and there's like little baby direwolf puppies next to it, and you're like, oh, that's that's like what that would create. We're like, that's totally not what George would ever think of.
no,
Oh.
no, like everything about like the fandom, it's not something George would do. Like this romantic story between Rhaegar and Lyanna. Like, nope, that's not George either. Like,
Yeah.
um, it's like, is there something incredibly painful that happened? you know,
Tyrion being Daenerys's hand in a dragon rider.
uh,
Oh boy. And a good guy. Oh man.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Uh,
Having
um,
the speech to him. you see, you didn't read that one. Oh boy.
oh, you're talking about uh, uh, the North
One
Remembers.
fanfic.
We gotta talk
I
about the
think
North
so.
Remembers sometime.
Hmm.
Show theory: Daron will be Cole's kid, hence why they're hiding him in Old Town. Um, this is a little fan theory. I've heard this. I've heard this fan theory before because when you actually look at like Daron, um, like the only like the Vaymond situation happens right after Daron is sent to Old Town in the source material. So some people are like, well, maybe he's sent off purposely because he didn't have silver hair, and they wanted him to have silver hair for the the Vaymond petition thing. And it's an interesting theory. There's a couple problems with it. One, like, I don't know, like, first of all, when George originally wrote Princess and the Queen and then the Rogue Prince, like, Daron is in two places at once. He's in King's Landing and he's in Old Town, and it's a contradiction, and George actually had to like fix it in the edit when he did Fire and Blood. But also, like, the Rogue Prince really falls off near the end, and it's very clear that George is just like wrapping this shit up because he needs to print it. And that's where the Vaymond petition is centered. It's in the last like final part of the story. The Rogue Prince is about 35 pages, and it's like there's like 30 pages that span like the first 10 years of the period, or the first 20 years of, and then all of a sudden there's like just 5 pages that do like 15 years, and it's just like insane. I'm getting the numbers all off, but you know, in my overanalyzing series, this is in there. So like, certainly George didn't think about that. Now, but this is show theory. If could Ryan Condal be like filling holes and coming up with clever things? Yeah, definitely. He could definitely do that. So we will see. I mean, I also think that Ryan Condal is holding in his back pocket if he wants to make Kristen Cole Jace's dad. I mean, that's all still open too. So, and this interesting idea that like Kristen Cole is actually the dad of both Jace and Daron would be like,
I hate to throw cold water on that, but I think in one of the Inside the episodes they confirmed that Rhaenyra did drink the moon tea. Also, Jace has Harwin Strong's curly hair.
But Kristen Cole has curly hair too.
Kristen Cole has wavy hair.
Jace had pretty fucking curly hair.
I have curly hair, and neither of my parents have curly hair.
I mean,
you stop it. You stop it over there.
Once I had this black steed, and
stop it. Let's get back out of here. The actor for Jace now has his natural hair, which is curly, which they should have done from the beginning because it looks more like Harwin Strong's natural hair as well. They got rid of that weird Uber driver wig that he had in season 1.
The natural hair looks so much better. Oh my gosh, he looks great. He's my celeb crush. That guy,
I mean,
Jace.
It's amazing that wig technology has not gotten anywhere. Like, it's amazing how you can just, I'm talking real life too, man. Like, have you been around people with wigs?
Oh yeah.
You know, like you come across like the Orthodox Jewish community and all the women who have wigs, and you're like, oh my God, like it's just so obviously a wig. Like wig technology is just it's just nowhere.
It's like it's like plateaued. It's like how like I once listened to like a podcast about like guns or something, and how guns haven't like substantially changed since like the Colt revolver. So it's like it's a solved problem. Like you've got it as good as it can get.
Yeah.
So maybe that's like with wigs.
But what's weird is, so on the other side of things, I would say like weave technology has gotten really good. There's like definitely like situations where people are like, wait, that's a weave? And people are like, of course it's a weave. And like, I thought that was your natural hair. So I don't know what's, I don't know what's happened, but weave technology advanced, wig technology stagnated.
There should be like a segment of the population that their only job is to grow hair for wigs in TV shows. Because I guess it's like thin synthetic hair. Maybe that's the problem, is that it just doesn't look good.
The thing is like, so my
I guess
wife
the
is very big.
melding.
Like, so my wife, like, she grows out her hair long and then cuts it and then donates it to like the charities that like make wigs for kids that have cancer and stuff. So
Mm.
like maybe like all the good wigs are going to them and the bad wigs are going to Hollywood. Something, I don't know. But you're right though that like you know, when you see a synthetic wig and you're just like, that's just not real hair, you know. Sorry I'm late. I just got off. Man, so many dirty things in a row. I'm late. I just got off from work, I mean. Can you give your opinion on who has a better golf swing between Trump and Biden? It's important. Oof. I mean, I don't know anything. I've spent very little. First of all, I know very little about golf. I've been golfing. I've been golfing once. I hurt my back, and I was like, I'm never golfing again. So, you guys ever golfed?
No. I did Wii golf or something like that. It's the closest, like, you know, where you do the Wii Sports.
Oh yeah. I think it's the
kind of
same.
fun.
I think it's
guess.
exactly the same. From what I hear.
Actually, I'll be honest with you,
It
Kyle.
definitely
I
takes
think
up less
Trump
space.
is the better golfer because that's what he spent the majority of his presidency doing. Like,
All he fucking does is golf.
All he does is
does,
try.
like,
One would
yeah.
think, right? That
you get better at it over time. It's all he fucking did. I think there's actually like a website that tracked the amount of times Trump golfed. So I would assume by now he'd be better at it than Biden. So I think he would beat Biden, no problem.
Yeah, is Biden? I mean, I'm sure Biden golfs some, but is he known for being a big golfer? I don't even know. But yeah, it's just yeah. I mean, he just golfs a lot more. You'd think that Trump would be at least an average golfer, you know, or at least an above average golfer. Considering
Have you
spent so
answered a
much
lot of these
time,
questions
that'd be
tonight?
he owns a fucking golf. He owns golf courses. Like if I own it's like when you go to somebody's house and they own a ping pong table. You're like, you're probably gonna fucking lose to that person because they own the fucking table.
Or if they own a horse, like typically if you own a horse, you're good at riding. You're like at least an average rider. Like,
Yeah.
why would you own a horse if you're not good at it? Like, why would you own a golf course if it's not like you don't even enjoy it or you're not good at it? Like,
Yeah. This is funny.
Uh,
Bad writing equals the spectrum. You're like, it just uses everything. But yeah,
they definitely act the character as at least like socially awkward or something like that. Like, right? Like,
Wait.
like,
Are you guys talking about Helena again?
yeah. We
Oh,
were talking about
I'm out
Helena
of-
earlier.
I'm out of this one. Yeah, I'm out of this one.
You're gonna get canceled. They at least play the character like they're socially awkward, right? But this episode, she really wasn't acting like. I guess maybe like you could say that she's on the spectrum, but not like.
I'll message you privately because
I don't know. Have they said something? Have like the actors said something?
Well,
Because they definitely. Oh, okay. All right. I'll
hold on.
I'll drop
I'm about to fuck you up. Hold on.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. So I guess we can.
I told Preston about this. I told Preston. Preston was like,
Sleeping
"What?"
Dragons lie. Okay. It's not that.
I'll send it to you on Facebook, Preston.
What's this? Let me see this.
Also, I sent you a meme, by the way.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Stannis like roasting Renly is really funny. I love Stannis when he's roasting people.
You can fucking hear that.
Like Stannis got some. Stannis.
This is so fucking. Like, why didn't they all just get like, this is it? Like, Stannis is Renly Robert.
That's not the
Having
only
sex
thing
with their
but that's one of
wives.
them.
Like, it's true. They do have this in common. They all have this in common, for various reasons.
It's fucking Baratheons.
Do
By
you,
the way,
do you
have you
think
been
if
getting,
Stannis had a if oh sorry oh wait
No, I
let
just
me-
wanted to ask
if
him,
Stan
have you been getting these messages all night long about the Biden-Trump stuff?
We haven't talked about Biden Trump at all. Yeah, actually,
I'm
This is-
surprised. Wow.
Mm-mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
As bad as the debate was, it's completely overshadowed. It's overshadowed the devastation of the Supreme Court decision. Your thoughts on the Chevron doctrine being overturned? I think it's horrible. So this is, the details of it are more technical than I know, but I know that essentially, like, the Chevron decision from the early 80s establishes, something to do with, like, environmental regulations and government decisions. And I haven't looked into it too detailed, but it seems fairly typical of now this, like, right-wing court that now, it's just going to be horrible decision after horrible decision after horrible decision. And, like, if like the conservative majority, if Trump is elected, it'll be solidified because probably Alito and Clarence Thomas will feel fine with retiring and then getting replaced. And so then you'll have nothing but young conservative justices who are, like, in their 50s existing for another fucking 30 years. And we're just going to be seeing just horrible right-wing decisions after horrible right-wing decisions for a generation. So, like, it's pretty hopeless. I mean, unless like, not only the Democrats have to win this election, they have to win the one after it too, to just even get to the point of trying to get back the Supreme Court.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's scary that like looking forward, there's probably going to be, like, learning in history classes that this is, like, the conservative, like, 30 years or so, conservative 50 years or something of America, and you're like,
and keep in mind, I talked about this a few streams back, where it's just like, in school, how they kind of give you this, like, well, the framers were really geniuses because they saw this in like every aspect, and you're just like, when I look at the Supreme Court, I'm just like, no, the Supreme Court is really fucking stupid. It's a stupid concept. It's a stupid concept that 9 people, or even, like, a small group, it doesn't matter how many, would have lifetime appointments at something. And so you're essentially at the whim of, like, when one happens to die on when they're going to get replaced. Like, the luck of when somebody dies affecting major, like, laws and policy.
yeah,
It's
incredibly undemocratic. Like, it's just amazing.
stupid. Like, why would anyone set up a government this way? And the only reason is that it turned out when the framers, like, set certain shit up, they weren't actually solid on democracy. I mean, originally senators weren't directly elected. Senators were appointed too. They didn't really believe in democracy that much, like,
Yeah.
when it all started, only landowning white men were able to vote too. And, like, not even for senators or Supreme Court justices, because they didn't really trust democracy. So it's
because
just
they kind of believed in, like, the Greco-Roman democracy, where, like, it was, like, the, like, aristocrats, like, were the ones that should really rule. The enlightened people should rule, as opposed to the commoners who are peasants who will fuck everything up and cannot be trusted.
They cannot be trusted.
That sucks.
And now we kind of realize that, like, the super rich are only interested in getting richer, and, like, it turns out the average person is fairly educated now, so they can actually make pretty good decisions, every once in a while. So it's going to be, it's rough. It's rough. But you're right.
I didn't watch the debate. Was he really that bad?
I didn't watch it either, but let's assume it's the worst debate you've ever seen. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah,
it doesn't fucking matter.
Right. Nobody's minds
like,
are getting changed by this.
Well, yeah, well, one, whose vote is getting changed by this? But like this whole week has just been bullshit. This whole like Biden should step down. Like no one truly believes that. Okay, like
Yeah.
these are just like clickbait. No, 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 no. They're like anyone believes that like somehow our chances would be increased if Biden were to step down is deluding themselves. Like do you
Yeah.
think that like Gavin Newsom is going to get more votes than Biden? Like some guy that most of the country doesn't know. You know, do you think Kamala Harris is going to get more votes than Biden? Like, no.
There's more precedent for like a sitting president to be elected than just a new random guy, new random
Sure.
candidate.
Yeah. And like, but also like the fact that like a dude has a bad night and all of a sudden he has to step down. The other guy tried to overthrow the motherfucking US government. Where's the article saying that Trump should step down? Like the other motherfucker like raped a woman and was convicted as a felon for election interference. Like is anyone asking him to step down? Where's the New York Times article asking him to fucking step down? Like, Jesus Christ, a dude has a bad night at a debate. One fucking bad night at a debate. And everybody's like, oh, for the good of the country, Joe Biden needs to step down. Like, the other motherfucker tried to overthrow the fucking government. What the fuck? Like, this is where we are. We're fucking crazy. We're fucking because the other like the right wing doesn't have these standards. They have no standards at all. So it's just like, well, no, it's completely fine that our candidate like is a convicted felon and tried to overthrow the U.S. government. Like, and the other guy, he had a bad debate. He sounded weak and sometimes confused. Like the other guy's fucking insane. Like anyway, it's
Oh God.
it's ridiculous. I guarantee in a week no one will be talking about the debate.
All we
But-
need is
Yeah.
another submarine incident. Then everyone will forget this entire thing completely.
Submarine.
Yeah.
That's all we
Oh
need.
God.
Well,
Yeah,
Preston,
yeah, yeah.
are you familiar with Nixon versus Kennedy?
Yeah.
So, did you? Some people are trying to liken what happened last night to Nixon versus Kennedy. So, are you familiar with this, Trey?
Yeah.
Yeah, that Nixon was over the radio versus Kennedy was on TV, and
People who
and
listened over the
whatever.
radio thought Nixon won, but people
Yeah.
who watched it on TV thought Kennedy won. I keep seeing a lot of that. Like people are saying, I don't know if it's copium or not. Well, yeah, it was, Biden didn't do that good, but at least he didn't lie. Which, yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I mean,
I
in fact,
agree.
the so far the polls that have happened after the debate show no difference or no significant difference, or Biden actually gaining after the debate, but it's not in a standard deviation and significant sort of way. So it doesn't matter. Doesn't
Did
but
you
it
see
also
him?
doesn't
Just
matter. Like you replace Biden, I'm still voting against Trump. You like I like
Yeah.
it doesn't you could replace
no,
him.
yeah.
You could replace him with honestly like, you know, a lump of cheese, and I'm going to vote for a lump of cheese. I mean, it's just like that lump of cheese didn't try to overthrow the U.S. government, you know, and put right wing justices on the Supreme Court who are going to continue to like just destroy America.
He should have called him a sick fuck. If he would have done that, I feel like his points
That would have been
cut
fucking
off.
funny.
Oh,
That would
yeah.
have been great. Like he's called Trump a sick fuck in private before, so like
Yeah.
if he did that, then like I feel like his numbers would go way the fuck up.
Right. And then the headline is, you know, you're a sick fuck. Like, you know,
Yeah.
but it's, yeah. But you know, obviously everything worries me and everything causes me anxiety, but,
Mhm.
you know, what
This
you gonna do?
country.
This country.
This country.
man. He has weird Greek Latin in his naming convention as well. With the AE and Eos and Eon, etc. Well, that's true. I
Yeah.
mean, Theon's a Greek name, and there's some other weird things that he does in there.
It means godly. It means godly. So
Yeah.
who knows? Who knows if Aaron is hinting at it? Oh, yeah.
Didn't he win a Nebula for a song for Lee? He won a Hugo for. I know it's very easy to confuse the Hugos and the Nebulas. He won a Hugo for a song for Leah, and he won a Nebula for Sand Kings. I think he won a maybe he won both for Sand Kings, but he won Nebula for.
Did he win anything for Fever Dream? Because that's a
I don't think so.
travesty. If he
I don't think
never
so.
won anything for Fever Dream. Is Fever Dream even nominated? Because that is an excellent book. That is an excellent little book right there.
Excellent little book.
Nothing. He got nothing for Fever. Oh wait, no. He was nominated for a Locust Award and a World Fantasy Award. Something I've never heard of before.
I mean, there's like, because you really got to start thinking like how many in the early 80s, like how many sci-fi like authors are there, you know?
Yeah.
A couple hundred?
And he did not win. He did not win.
Who are getting put, you know, because there's only a few of these publications that like count, like Asimov and Asimov magazine and such.
Oh, George.
Oh, here we go. Elden Ring is a great game. Thoughts on the debate? Even for non-Americans, both choices are horrific. I don't think there's, I mean, we can talk about this more. I don't think there's anything horrific about Joe Biden. I mean, there are going to be a few like things, like some people might think he's too status quo on a lot of things, but I don't think there's anything horrific. Just, you know,
this is always weird for me because I have friends that are like my age who are like, I'm not voting for Biden because of Palestine, and like it's like, oh, okay. And you just want to kind of like shake him, like dude,
oh, you're a dumb fuck. Oh, interesting.
It's also just not knowing anything about like Israel Palestine, like not knowing a single thing. Like, so
yeah,
like where to start on this? Okay, so the U.S. supports the two-state solution with regards to Israel-Palestine. It has supported the two-state solution for nearly a generation. And the two-state solution is probably the most practical solution because your solutions with Israel-Palestine are, it's either one state, it's either, well, status quo forever, which is a pretty chaotic situation where Palestinians don't have equal rights, or it's one state solution where Palestinians are absorbed into Israel and eventually given citizenship. Israel will probably never accept that because that would lead to a Muslim majority. And so it's either the end of a democratic Israeli state or the end of a Jewish Israeli state. So then you're left with the right-wing Israeli position, which is pushing the Palestinians out as refugees to other countries, which would create massive destabilization and is also ethically bad because it's literally ethnic cleansing. And so you're kind of left with the two-state solution as the only one that's practical that exists. I can't really like, I understand that like the one-state solution, like a secular one-state solution would be like the most moral, but it's not practical. Like it would never happen. And so like the two-state solution is like our second best situation. So how do we get to the two-state solution? Well, the United States has been supporting a government in the West Bank called the Palestinian Authority. And we try to prop up the Palestinian Authority as an alternative to terrorist groups like Hamas. And so Trump cut all funding to the Palestinian Authority when he was president. And then Biden restarted it. And so when you're talking about like the road to a Palestinian state, Trump like is clearly like would end that. He has no desire for a Palestinian state. He literally cut funding and does not believe in it. Like while like every other president, W, Obama, Clinton, Biden, has been pushing for a Palestinian state by supporting the Palestinian Authority. And so for anyone to say like Biden isn't good to the Palestinians, like doesn't understand fucking shit. Like it's just like they don't understand anything. Like they have never looked into this issue and don't understand the issue at all. Okay, the
Yeah.
anomaly is Trump. The anomaly is Trump. He is the one president that has had a different policy, in that he has no support for the Palestinian Authority. Well, every other president, I'm not saying Biden is exceptional. He's not. He's just like every other president save Trump. So it's just that Trump is exceptionally bad for Palestinians. Okay, so like for anyone to say like Biden isn't been good, like you're so dumb and you don't understand anything about the Middle East at all, and that's just like, oh, get me so fucking angry.
It's a very, and it's scary because that's a very common outlook or whatever, worldview, whatever opinion of people my age who are like, they're like Trump and Biden are equal genociders, and I'm voting my conscience. I'm voting my conscience, so I'm not going to vote for them. And it's like, oh my god. And it's like you are going to lose it for us. Like you're going to lose it for us, and you don't know what you're talking about. Oh god.
Oh, but it's just, yeah. I mean, Biden's for supporting a Palestinian state. Like, I just, well, what you gonna do? Plan for Hot D Watch videos release schedule this season. Loved Bracken Blackwood at long last. Essentially, I work hard and I try to get these videos out. I don't know if there's a plan. I don't know if I'll go back and do episode 2, or if I'm just going to move on to episode 3. If I'm going to try to combine 2 and 3 together.
We got the podcast to do. Don't forget about the podcast. We
got podcasts to do and things like that. So I don't know. We'll see what we can do. But I'm gonna do my best. I know my thing was my last week was pretty short, but and the thing is, when the episode is good, there's not as much to say. So also, like, episode 2 was so fucking good. Like, how do I make fun of it?
Yeah.
But
skip it. Do 3.
Ricari.
Speaking of fantasy, I consider myself an anti-woke liberal. The idea.
All right, what a way to start.
I know. The idea that D&D dumped Dark Sun for being problematic. Oh, and their less nudity in Hot D is a sing of the neo-Puritans. I will say that I think that occasionally. I think occasionally liberals are get worried that someone is going to be offended by something they do, even when there's no one actually that's going to be offended. And I think did both of you watch Red Team Review's like Acolyte review?
No, first off, fuck that guy. I didn't see that, but what about it? Wait. You mean Red Letter Media?
Yes, Red Letter Media.
Red Letter Media. Yes, I did see that.
You.
I was like, oh, Carmine.
Yeah,
I did see Red Letter Media's video.
So one of the things he brought up was like Picard, like them switching a song out because this white woman was going to sing this like song by this black woman, and then they thought it would be like tone deaf to do that. And then they're like, who is going to complain about this? And it's true that like not that many people were watching Picard to begin with, and like no one was going to fucking notice. He was right. Like they were worrying about it when they shouldn't have been worrying about it. Yeah, there's a bit of that. I mean,
well, there's shit like I got this when I made my like Native American Bigfoot video where people complained that I said Indian in the video. I used the word Indian. And people were like, that's an offensive term. And I like literally talked to like Native American Indians, and I asked them, how do you feel about me using this word? I asked them explicitly, what do you prefer to be called by? And they say Indian. And you're just like, fuck you, for you're getting offended on nobody's behalf. Nobody's upset with that.
Yeah. No, I mean the Native American Indian indigenous like conversation is kind of funny because it is one of those things like I mean, the same thing happened to the Washington Redskins. Like, no American Indian group was. I mean, I'm not going to say no. I'm sure there's some American Indian group.
There's probably
like,
some. Yeah, there's always some.
Like most did not care. They're like this team off on the other end of the country that they're not paying attention to is like, you know, using the term Redskin, and they're like, well, sometimes we call ourselves Redskins. I don't understand. You know, what are you really like interested in helping the American Indian community? Like, really, like the Redskins should have been like advocates and should have just like thrown money and been like, well, we give this much for American Indian causes every year. Like, that's what they should have done. Instead, they changed it.
Right. I feel like you're going to become a victim of this in the future, and it's very important that you understand what I'm telling you right now. First and foremost, no one gets offended quite like white people on behalf of other people. As the resident immigrant, I promise you that as a resident Latino, I promise you that other Latinos do not give a flying fuck if you quote unquote appropriate there's no such thing as appropriation. In my opinion, there's no such thing as culture vulture. It's all bullshit. It's all people wanting a reason to complain. As for you, be very, very, very careful. As you hear my cat meowing in the back, be very careful when you apologize to people. The moment you for any reason, they know they can get you to apologize for the most dumbest fucking things ever, and they will continue to get on your dick about it and make you their bitch. Do not apologize unless you say like a racial slur. Obviously, apologize for that.
Sure.
Or if you get caught, texting minors on Twitch, obviously, kind of apologize for that too. But like, if you say like, I don't know, fucking, something stupid like the Indian thing, don't apologize for that. Just tell people to suck your dick. The fuck out of here.
There's no reason to apologize. I've talked to
Native Americans. You didn't do anything wrong.
I know what they say.
American Indians in surveys prefer the term American Indian the most. Like, that's just where it is. And after that, I think they prefer the term indigenous. It's white people that came up with the term Native American. Some do like the term Native American, but it's behind American Indian and indigenous. Well, actually, what's ahead of all of them is calling them by their tribal name.
By their tribal names. That's 100%. Yeah, that's what I talked to. That's like the first thing they said. And I'm like, collectively, American Indian.
Tribal name. That sounds fucking cool as shit, Like, hey, what are you? Like, you Irish or something? No, I'm Comanche or I'm Apache. Yeah. That sounds so fucking cool.
Right. So, and they prefer that. Yeah. They prefer to be like Tule River Tribe or Yokos.
Someone said to me, Carmine, Preston is not going to understand Dr. Disrespect. Are you aware of the Dr. Disrespect drama, Preston?
I only vaguely that he like completely like was just like, yeah, I did something, like I texted some minors and he like just admitted it and was just like, I don't give a fuck.
Did you see like all the usual, not the usual, some of the grifters like the quartering are trying to defend it for some reason. I don't know why. Like that's a bold move, Cotton. We'll see how that plays out for him.
Look, unless you, here's the thing about apologies. Unless you truly believe that you did something wrong and it was wrong, like texting minors or like whatever, or if you legitimately hurt somebody's feelings and actually feel bad about it, like, or like you're really, really going to get fired. Like, don't apologize. How I handle it when people are like, oh my God, I'm so offended you did this and this and this. I usually start out saying, first of all, if you're here because you would like me to apologize, I'm just going to first let you know you're talking to the wrong person and I don't give a fuck. Like I started out and being like, I don't give a fuck. And if you want to continue talking to me, that's fine. But like, actually, I don't give a fuck that you're offended. Like you do, like, I don't feel that like we live in a world that you have the right to not be offended or anything like that. People get offended for all sorts of reasons, but
it's what you get offended over. And I think it's also important if you know the person and you've known them for a fairly long time and you feel as though you've offended them, you should apologize because that just means you're a decent person. But if I don't know you and I said something so innocuous, so small, like suck my dick, get over it. However,
especially when most of the time it's somebody interpreting what you said in bad faith and then pretending to be offended about it. You know how hard it is to be offended these days. Like,
actually, I that reminds me, I should apologize to you, Trey.
Oh, why?
I feel like you don't care, but I also feel as though I should have done this a while ago, and I'm sure you didn't even notice, but I feel bad.
What?
So I actually, when we were
About
on
what?
private call one time, let me just set this up. I'm a child of the 90s and the early 2000s, and growing up, everything that was dumb or stupid or lame or just whatever, you would call it gay. And I remember in a private conversation, you asked me about something, and I just said it in passing like a dumb fuck. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it's gay or whatever. And I apologize, even though you probably don't care. I apologize to you anyway, because I know
Yeah.
like you probably are not cool with that.
Oh, that's fine. I know you. Like I know you, and I don't. I know you don't mean it in a mean way or anything, and I don't care.
Hmm.
I have friends that use that all the time. It's like I know
But
that
it's also
you
one of those
respect
things we
me
should
as a
move away.
person.
Of 100%, but
Yeah,
it's also one of those things that we should
probably.
strive to move away, like to stop using that word in that way. So,
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing is at the core of everything is like I don't know. You respect people as like human beings and stuff like that. And I think like I don't know. People can get easily offended, but at the end of the day, you're just like respect is just important. Like with a like I don't know with like a cultural appropriation, it's like I don't know. There's a level of like respect, I guess, that's important. That you're just not being like an asshole or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. Like it's basic human decency with like that kind of stuff. Um, yeah, people get easily offended.
um, it would be historically accurate if every great house had at least one vassal at the at the minimum. Um, who has the Darius are to the Targaryens? Oh, um, yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's. I'm trying to think like the loyalty situation, like when one person goes against the king and goes for the lord, like wouldn't the vassal like would the vassal like have loyalty to the king, and would it get messy? um I don't know. Sometimes kings are so far away that I kind of feel like being loyal to the lord you're near is probably a safer bet, especially when it's like you're going to be marching and it's going to be years until you actually even run into a king's army or whatever. Um, so I think maybe even the reverse might be that be, like Dairy's loyalty to the Targaryens is so like unrealistic. Um, you know,
Well, and it's also that like the Targaryens as a dynasty, like really, like I don't know, historically isn't that old and stuff like that.
yeah,
Like, um, why are they
yeah.
such defenders of them?
I remember an old conversation where somebody was talking about like the King's Guard and the Tower of Joy, and they're like, and they're protecting this 300-year-old dynasty, and that's really important. And I'm just like, 300-year dynasty, like you're talking about a fucking Dane, like and Hightower, like they don't fucking care about 300 years, like that means
Well,
nothing to them.
it's funny that you mentioned that because in episode 2, like Kristen Cole's like talking to Eric, and he's like, "We have our ancient honor to defend," and you're like, "Are you talking about the King's Guard? Like you guys have existed for 130 years."
130
Like,
years at this point, ancient honor, like. um Explain Schedule F like I'm 5. Is your job in danger under Project 2025? Should I start buying canned food? It's more like hurricane season, Preston. Okay, so within the government, there's a number among civil servants. We have uh, regular lifetime civil servants who are protected by something called the Merit Service Protection Board. They're called status competitively hired like people, and we are incredibly difficult to fire. Um, the if I stopped doing my job, like like and just did nothing, you'd have to wait until my next performance appraisal to be like, dude, you're like not doing a good job. They put me on something called a PIP, and like you'd create benchmarks for like getting off the PIP, and then if I fail to meet those benchmarks, you can start the process for firing. And the process for the most part takes a year at minimum. And most people usually win because what happens is they do nothing. They get on the PIP, and the PIP standards are actually pretty low, and they get just to the point where they pass the PIP, and then they don't get fired, and then they do nothing again for 6 months or something like this. The people that are these like horrible workers, you know. But so now, on the other hand, there's political appointees, and there's people that are part of the accepted service. Accepted service are not protected by the Merit Service Protection Board, though there's some arguments about how many years that maybe an accepted servant that has 2 years or something would get it, but it's argued. But then there's political appointees, and political appointees can be fired at any time. So when the change of administration happens, all the political appointees in government get changed. So in my office, there is one political appointee, you know, the Inspector General himself, and he's the only person that's beholden to, like, who could be fired. And in fact, the Inspector General was fired. His name was Steve Linick. He was fired by Trump when he put out a report that Trump didn't like. Pretty shitty, like pretty shitty considering we're like the oversight mechanism. Yeah. So Schedule F, the idea is that you'd expand the pool of positions to include more political appointees, and then you'd expand the pool, and then once those employees are put under that like a political appointee pool, then you can fire them because easy to hire, easy to fire kind of idea. Is my job in danger under Project 2025? I mean, Project 2025, don't get me wrong, is the most frightening, disgusting thing I've ever read in my fucking life. And like, it is atrocious, but also the ideas on there are outrageous. So like the idea that anyone would be able to expand like the number of like political appointee positions like that much, and then try to fire like the government like all at once. I mean, first of all, like the government would fall apart. But like if you did that, like you actually, this is the thing, is you actually need government, like people doing the government jobs. Like you need them. I don't, you know, and then
I've heard like historians talk about this with like the Chinese dynasties, where like the bureaucracy is just so big and so important that it's impossible to like it all to collapse. That like even the transition of dynasties and stuff, like it had to be retained.
Oh
So
yeah,
maybe
the
that's
civil,
it.
like, yeah. I mean, it makes sense, like, you know, but the you know, but just the idea that this, well, one, I just couldn't imagine like it not going to courts for fucking ever, and just like the courts dealing with everything for an insane amount of time, and everybody fighting this, and like the number of lawyers and the amount of money that would go into it to like stop this, would just be overwhelming. It would shut everything down. You wouldn't be like, no one would be able to do anything. Like this like harebrained scheme of like trying to like increase the number of political appointees and then fire them all. It's just like, it's just outrageous. Like I just don't believe you'd get away with it. Like everything would halt. And even if you did, like all those political appointees would not have the ability to do any of our jobs. Like the one thing about the thin layer of political appointees at the top is that they don't really need to know anything. So like you can be like, if you're made the political appointee head of any agency or an ambassador or something, like you have all of the deep state people running the show, and you're just like being a whimsical command guy. Like it doesn't matter. Like you can literally be a moron if you're at the top, because everybody else is like running it. But if you start going down and start replacing those people, like, holy shit, like the whole, like everything would fall apart. Everything would fall apart. Did you read, Trey, I'm sure you have, but Restaurant at the End of the Universe?
No, I have not. Restaurant. That sounds like a fun book right there.
Oh, it's the second Hitchhiker's book.
Oh, see, I've never read those books.
Oh, So there's one.
It doesn't involve that.
So there's this. There's this. They go to this planet where they find that it's just filled with middle managers and paper pushers, and they just sit there and like have meetings and pass reports to each other and have reports based on meetings, and like take notes, and then like establish working groups to like deal with the meetings that they just had, and it's just like atrocious bureaucracy, right? And they're wondering like, how did this planet of just middle manager bureaucrats get here? And they describe them as like middlemen, paper pushers, telephone inspectors, all of like the bureaucrats, like the useless chaff, And so they end up reading the histories, and they find out that there was this planet that sun was going supernova, and so they knew they had to evacuate to settle a new world. But the thinkers were like, hey, we got this idea. There are thinkers and there are doers, but we could literally cut out the middlemen. And this is like our opportunity to do this and be a more efficient society. So ship A is all the thinkers and leaders, and ship B is the middlemen, and ship C are all the doers. And so ship A and C like head to one planet, and they send all the middlemen off to this other planet. And of course, civilization A and C ends up perishing from a telephone infection. And like, but like the middle managers like end up surviving. Like, but the thing is like, that's what would happen if you like try to get rid of that many government employees and like replace them with like loyal Trump people. Like everything would literally fucking fall apart. Like you would not know how, like just it just would never fucking work. Like I'm just thinking of like all the knowledge that I have and like people above me have and people above me have, and that rung. And if those people were gone, like, and we just had like the very low level people with all new people who are Trump appointees, like it would just never like it would just be like it would be a fucking disaster. Like what? Oh my God. It would I just can't see it happening, but
that's reassuring. That's very reassuring. Oh.
Yeah, these are people commenting on the debate, but it's just like all of this is like Biden said we got rid of Medicare. LOL. No, you've never misspoken in your life, right? You've never like misspoken, Wilmar. Like you've never like had a brain fart. You've never like, But honestly, Biden could say whatever he fucking wanted. I'd still vote for him. Okay, like that. Like he could go up there and like he could drop his pants and shit all over the stage and roll around in it, and I would vote for him over Trump. Like he could go up there and just like honestly like cluck like a chicken for an hour, and I would vote for him over Trump. Like that's how bad it is. That's how bad the fucking Trump is. Like also no one like, I doubt many people.
And as if Trump doesn't misspeak all the time too. He goes on all these crazy tangents. Anyways, tell me you're a Gen Z without telling me you're Gen Z.
Are you familiar with Nixon versus Kennedy?
Mr. Pink here thinks I'm a Gen Zer.
Yes, Carmine's older than me.
Shut up, trash the fuck.
Oh, sorry. I'm like a child. I'm still a child.
No, I'm not. Stop saying that, bro. I'm not still a child. We've done so many podcasts together. Don't say that.
But on that, like all the time you run into people like where you say like, oh, have you heard of this and this and this? And somebody's like, I was born in like 1994. And it's like, I always say to people like, like I was born in the 70s. It doesn't mean I don't know who fucking Abraham Lincoln was. Like, just like, yeah. like, do you think my knowledge base like begins at my birth year? Like,
Nixon, Kennedy. I learned that in high school, like that's part of the curriculum is to learn about that. Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's more for like movies and music and stuff. Like typically, but even then, like people
Even
listen to
then,
the
you start
Beatles
like
still.
over time, your knowledge starts going backwards and forwards. In fact, like I would say at this point in my life, I think I learn more backwards in music than I do forwards in music because it's just like
Right.
there's nothing to relate to now.
Yeah.
Like so anyway, I gotta head to bed soon. I just gotta
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
try to,
Yeah.
hopefully I'm getting to the end of this. Oh god, gotta go. Yeah, if you skip Hati episode 2, I miss your read on Aegon smashing his dad's Warhammer terrain. Oh my god, you're right. I do have to fucking comment on that. Fucking hey, I can't believe,
Why did he do that? Why did he do that?
because they had to have consistency. There was no like Warhammer set like in regular
Oh,
in
it's like a
regular Game
lore
of
thing.
Thrones. Something has to happen to it. You know, it's like Star
Her
Wars
legs.
explaining things that don't need to be explained. Like this is
That
how Han
is
Solo got his blaster. Like like no one fucking like needed to know
No,
what
no, he's
happened.
right. There has to be a reason
that is
why,
so
like
stupid, but you're
the
right.
weirwood tree isn't shown in the future in Game of Thrones. Because remember the weirwood tree? They
Oh my
left the
god, that
just
weirwood
weeds
tree
there.
is so getting burned or cut down. You know there's gonna be a fucking scene. We have to like count down to that like scene where that tree gets burned because you know that's fucking happening. Because it's
I'm assuming like it's also to have like one of those sad shots where eventually when Rhaenyra comes back to the Red Keep, she's just walking around. It's sad. Oh no, there was my father's Warhammer piece. It's destroyed now.
Are
Mm,
are
no.
are they going to tear out the swords in the Iron Throne? Like, is that going to happen where there's less swords in the main
Well,
series?
how
oh
how else
yeah,
is
to get
her
rid of the
legs?
swords.
How else is her
Oh,
legs gonna bleed? Remember, her legs have to bleed as she
Oh
like
my
climbs the
God, you're right.
throne.
That she's gonna be like,
Mhm.
let's take those swords away. Those are too dangerous. And Rhaenyra is gonna remove the swords, but keep the rest on the throne. That is Carmine, you asshole. That's right.
Her legs have to bleed and whatever, and I guess like some of her dress might be torn as she. But that doesn't make any sense because the Iron Throne in the books that would make more sense, but in the show, I mean, there's like a large pathway between the swords and like where you have to go
She's
to sit
gonna
on the
trip
throne.
or
kids,
something.
the
She's gonna
guys were just
trip.
lying around. People just traiped around lying, like just on swords these days. But yeah, 2025. We talked about this. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's a atrocious document. Don't be hard on Biden. It's not easy being a time traveling fetus and also a horse. That's true as well. And finally, my last one here. Rhaenyra did give her kid a winged hive tyrant. Oh yes, and the kid was like, nah. Um,
Hmm.
do you Trey? Have you played any Warhammer?
No, I've never played Warhammer.
Oh, bro, it's great. It's
It's
frustrating.
it's
Winged
great. It's great in that
hive.
like it's also like, I mean, it's inspired. It's ripped off from like everything before it, but it's like but it's become its own like cool thing considering it began as a cheap ripoff of Aliens, like with space marines battling each other, and then they added in like xenomorph like clones, and then it grew into like this very rich history over the decades. Like it considering that it started off as like a cheap fucking fighting game that like was trying to be Aliens and then has grown into something like quite incredible.
Trey, can I
Uh,
send you a video that'll make you go, "What the fuck is this?" From Warhammer?
Sure,
Actually
I know a
like a
little bit
fan
about
film.
Warhammer. I know like the God Emperor stuff, and like I know outsider lore bits about Warhammer.
There's this fan film I recommend everyone. It's called Astartes. Oh my fucking god, it's so awesome. Holy shit, it's so good. It's called Astartes. Jesus Christ. So fucking good. This one has 18 million views. You got to give it a shot, Trey. It's so good.
Okay, okay.
Aemon's
18 million.
10,000% into Dark Elders. Haha.
The Dark Elders, the edgy people. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys.
All
Thank
right.
you for staying with me, shooting the shit for all this time. Oh, also Dune 40K rips off Dune. Yeah, they they rip off everything. D&D, they rip off it's
And Dune ripped off Foundation.
no, that's true. That's true.
Ooh,
Everybody rips each
ooh.
other off. So, but it's anyway. I wish I had like the time to be into Warhammer 40K, but I would create like hope narratives. Like I would create like a Gene Stealer cult that is like for like hope and humanity. They just like broke off and they have their own like ideas and like try to win. And that would be like my thing. I'd go into like a Games Workshop or whatever and
You play Gene Stealer Cult? Come on.
no, that's the whole point. Is I choose one of the worst factions, Gene Stealer Cult, and then I turn it into like something the exact opposite of what Gene Stealer Cult is. Like they're starting a cult, but it's based on like a unity narrative of like galactic peace, and they're going to like cause everyone to like say they're going to save the galaxy through like diplomacy.
Are you getting off right now?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm ending.
You're getting off, bro. You just got on. What do you mean? You just got on. You're getting off right now? You've been on for like an hour. How long have you been on for? Oh shit!
No, he's been on here for like 3 or something like that.
Yeah, close.
Nah, we could go for 3 more. Come on, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Anyway, but yes, Carmine is king. Astartes is god. Dude, let's talk about 40K anytime. All right, guys. Thank you, everything. I'll see you guys next week, and we'll be doing podcasts all this week and trying to put out videos. It's gonna be all there. Okay, later, guys.